Tang Xiaoman woke with a start, finding herself lying on a hospital bed. Seeing someone enter, her eyes immediately flashed with vigilance as she pulled out the 4-needle from her hand, ready to fight. For years into the apocalypse, she had survived countless battles and was no longer the weak, easy-to-bully lamb she once was. Want to harvest her kidney, she swore to fight them to the death. No retreat, no surrender. Miss Tang, you're awake. The nurse looked at the murderous Tang Xiaoman in shock, suspecting she might have suffered a mental breakdown, and hesitantly added, President Gu instructed that once you wake up, you should return to the company to work. President Gu refers to Gu Heng, the CEO of the Gu Corporation and also Tang Xiaoman's fiancé. Recalling this man's deceit and cruelty, Tang Xiaoman's eyes turned red with fury, wishing she could tear him into pieces. For 4 years in the apocalypse, she had stayed by Gu Heng's side unwaveringly, to protect their supplies. She had fought countless bloody battles. She used her own space to store supplies and food for him, preventing the resources from being snatched away by others. But when the supplies and food in the space were exhausted, he mercilessly bared his fangs at her. She became a mobile blood bank for his beloved by Yueguang Su Ro, and ultimately died in battle for refusing to donate a kidney. Wait, didn't she die? Why did she open her eyes again, and why was there a nurse urging her to return to work at the company? It's been 4 years into the apocalypse, where is there still a job to go to? Before Tang Xiaoman could ask for clarification, the nurse ran out to call for someone. Moments later, Assistant Xu Jia pushed the door open and entered. Tang Xiaoman, you're finally awake. President Gu has asked about your condition several times. Since you're awake now, please return to work at the company immediately. Xu Jia's face showed undisguised disdain and impatience. Tang Xiaoman's pupils constricted sharply. Xu Jia had died in the first year of the apocalypse, so why was she standing before her again? Wait, this scene felt eerily familiar. She remembered now. 1 month before the apocalypse arrived, she had collapsed from exhaustion at work after pushing herself too hard. Gu Heng showed no concern for her condition and even complained that her illness was delaying work progress. She had just woken up when he sent his assistant, Xu Jia, to urge her to return to the company and continue working. Could it be that she had been reborn? Tang Xiaoman decisively jabbed the pulled-out needle into Xu Jia's hand. This woman was a snob who had often made things difficult for her in the past. Ouch! Xu Jia let out a cry of pain, clutching the bleeding wound, tears streaming down her face from the agony. Tang Xiaoman, what's gotten into your head? Just because Mr. Gu doesn't like you, you take it out on me. How unreasonable can you be? Furious, anxious, and in pain, she was on the verge of lunging at Tang Xiaoman to fight her. Tang Xiaoman, certain this wasn't a dream, let out a long sigh of relief. She had truly been reborn. Heaven has granted her rebirth, and this time she will not repeat past mistakes. She vows to make those who betrayed her pay in blood. Calming down, she looked at the terrified and furious Xu Jia, a chilling smile playing on her lips. Work, I'll get right to it. Tang Xiaoman returned to the Gu Corporation and entered the office building, where several employees greeted her along the way. They were all accustomed to her relentless work ethic, but few cared whether she had fully recovered her health. Tang Xiaoman secretly sneered, despising her own foolishness in her past life. Having been lost as a child and raised in an orphanage, she had grown up starved for love. She was only brought back by her father, Su Cheng, at the age of 15, but her mother had already passed away. Her father favored her stepsister Su Ro, and with her stepmother, a manipulative green tea type, constantly stirring up trouble. Even her half-brother bullied her. She found no affection or warmth at home. The kindness shown by her fiancé, Gu Heng, became the only light in her life, and she chased after it desperately, like a moth to a flame. Yet he often said, Su Ro is your sister, and she's not in good health. What's the harm in being a little more patient with her? Tang Xiaoman had no idea that Su Ro was Gu Heng's white moonlight, so she believed his words. Little did she know that he would treat her even more cruelly and heartlessly than her so-called family, having been reborn. Tang Xiaoman was determined not to make the same foolish mistakes again. She locked the door of her office and removed the jade bracelet from her wrist. This jade bracelet was a keepsake left by her mother. Because of its poor quality, it wasn't worth much, which was why it had remained in her possession. In her previous life, she had no idea that this jade bracelet concealed a hidden mystery. It wasn't until the apocalypse began that she accidentally activated the space within it when her injured blood dripped onto the bracelet. Now, while no one is around, she must quickly claim the space. Tang Xiaoman opened the drawer, took out a pin, and pricked her finger. A drop of fresh blood fell onto her jade bracelet, and the blood bead was instantly absorbed, making the jade's clarity appear slightly more translucent. Tang Xiaoman closed her eyes to focus her consciousness and quickly entered the space within the jade bracelet with practiced ease. Just like in her previous life, the virtual screen displayed that the two-bedroom apartment covered an area of 80 square meters. The apartment was fully decorated, and although it lacked furniture, the gas, water, and electricity were all connected. A calendar clock hangs on the wall, perfectly synchronized with the real world's time. Outside the balcony lies a vast, motionless white space, with a virtual screen indicating it spans 150 cubic meters. This static space not only halts time but also preserves the state of all stored materials in stasis. Items placed into the static space remain unchanged when retrieved. She can move objects with her mind, though transporting large items consumes a significant amount of mental energy. Tang Xiaoman had personally verified all these spatial functions in her previous life. From the moment she entered the space, a timer lit up above her head. Tang Xiaoman knew this was counting down the time she could spend in the space each day. She could only enter the space for 1 hour per day, and would be kicked out when time was up. However, retrieving items from the space with her mind wasn't bound by this time limit. She could take things out anytime. Having confirmed the space was exactly the same as in her previous life, she felt at ease. She left the space and returned to her office, turning on her work computer, because she had worked diligently for Gu Heng over the past 2 years, willing to endure hardship. Highly capable, utterly devoted, and without expecting anything in return, she had earned his trust and was entrusted with important tasks. Tang Xiaoman copied over a dozen critical business secrets. Gu Heng treated her like a beast of burden, squeezing every last ounce of her worth in her previous life before ultimately causing her death. She first demanded some interest back, and the rest would be repaid double. Xu Jia raised her bandaged hand and fiercely complained about Tang Xiaoman to the boss. That's how it happened. The moment she woke up, she went crazy and suddenly stabbed me with a needle. Gu Heng frowned, concerned only about one thing. Has she returned to work? The current project has been followed up by Tang Xiaoman all along. Her sudden illness has severely affected the progress of the business collaboration. He is a businessman, meticulous about profits. Seeing that the boss didn't care about her injured hand but only about work, Xu Jia felt somewhat awkward. She's already back at the company. Before the words had even finished, the secretary pushed the door open and entered. President, Miss Tang just returned to the company but left again shortly after. Gu Heng's eye twitched in disbelief. She left again. Did she say anything? Miss Tang didn't say a word. Gu Heng rubbed his temples and picked up the landline receiver to call Tang Xiaoman. What are you up to? Before he could finish speaking, the call was abruptly ended. He froze for a moment, and when he dialed again, all he got was a busy tone. Unable to believe that Tang Xiaoman would hang up on him, he switched to his mobile phone and called her again. Sorry, the number you dialed cannot be reached. His eyes were filled with shock. She had actually blocked his phone number. Tang Xiaoman left the office building and hailed a ride-hailing car. She sent a message to Huakai, a business competitor of Gu Heng. I have what you want in my hands. Then she sent Huakai the address for their meeting, a cafe not far from the Hu group. She was confident that the other party would be unable to resist after seeing the message, because Huakai had attempted to bribe her with both charm and money more than once, hoping to use her to pry open the impregnable walls of the Gu group. In her past life, Tang Xiaoman remained completely unmoved. Even now, she still has no interest in Huakai's charm, but she does covet his money. In the true apocalypse, the last remaining living spaces are the various disaster shelters. In the post-apocalyptic world where order has collapsed, disaster shelters have gathered heroes and elites from all over the world. The strong rule, and the victors reign supreme. Every day is a bloody battle for survival in such an environment. Going it alone would only lead to being torn apart without a trace. With the apocalypse approaching, she not only needs to frantically stockpile supplies but also assemble a powerful team to stand united against external threats. All of this requires money. Lots of it. Chapter 2, More secure than a prison. Kai indeed arrived at the agreed-upon cafe very quickly. With a perfect signature smile playing at the corners of his lips, his peach blossom eyes brimming with affection. He kept sending flirtatious glances at Tang Xiaoman. Tang Xiaoman waved her hand dismissively, declining. "Stop winking at me. I'm not falling for that." Kai blinked his eyes, his smile unchanged, while elegantly taking his seat. He glanced at her and teased, Miss Tang doesn't want this. So what exactly do you want to eat? Tang Xiaoman didn't play riddles with him and got straight to the point. 100 million. Kai put away his smile, his expression unusually serious for once. "You have quite the appetite, but first, I need to see if what you're offering is worth that price." Tang Xiaoman cheerfully sent a commercial confidential document to his email. Kai opened his email and clicked on that secret file. He skimmed through it, his eyes flickering slightly. How do I know if the information Miss Tang provided is real or fake? Pay 10 million upfront. If the project data checks out, you can purchase the rest separately. Tang Xiaoman raised an eyebrow with a faint, ambiguous smile. However, buying separately not only costs more but might also waste your precious time. After all, for someone of your status, young Master Hua, time is far more valuable than money. Kai's eyes flickered, but instead of responding to her remark, he changed the subject. "Weren't you always devoted to Gu Heng? What made you suddenly switch sides?" Tang Xiaoman didn't even blink. "No matter how devoted I was, all I got in return was ingratitude. Since his heart belongs to another, I won't force what isn't meant to be. Feelings can't put food on the table. Better to exchange them for some silver. Don't you agree, young Master Hua?" Kai clapped, his laughter frivolous and unrestrained. "Absolutely right. Congratulations, Miss Tang. You've finally come to your senses. Tang Xiaoman received a text notification confirming the deposit of 100 million yuan, without hesitation. She promptly sent all the remaining commercial secrets of the project to Kai's email. "Pleasure working with you." Kai stood up and politely extended a hand to her. Tang Xiaoman rose to her feet, tucking both hands into the pockets of her denim shorts, smiling politely yet distantly. "I hope our next collaboration will be even more pleasant, with the promise of future cooperation." She wasn't worried that Kai would turn around and betray her. Besides, she genuinely had the idea of continuing to dig up Gu Heng's trade secrets to sell to Kai. The collapse of order and the monetary system in the apocalypse did not happen overnight but followed a process. After all, who would ever complain about having too much money? She didn't trust in personal character, yet she believed in human nature. Seeing Kai about to walk away, Tang Xiaoman called out to him, "Young Master Hua, please stay. There's a small favor I need your help with." Kai's expression didn't look too good. "You want me to help you buy a house and also advance the loan payment for you?" He glanced at Tang Xiaoman with dissatisfaction, asking for a favor with such an arrogant attitude. That's just not right. She wouldn't even shake hands with him, so he had no interest in kissing up to her cold shoulder. Tang Xiaoman smiled confidently. "Don't forget we're long-term strategic partners. There'll be plenty of business dealings between us in the future." As the apocalypse arrived, Kai, being the son of Linqing's wealthiest family, possessed resources and information that were nothing to scoff at. In his past life, Gu Heng had also relied on cooperating with Kai, exchanging mutual benefits to ensure the survival of everyone around him. In her previous life, Tang Xiaoman always charged ahead for Gu Heng's sake, and she had numerous dealings with Kai. She felt that aside from being a bit of a playboy, his character wasn't bad, as long as she didn't get romantically involved with him, whether as friends or business partners. He was someone she could trust. However, upon hearing these words, Kai automatically assumed Tang Xiaoman would continue helping him undermine the Gu Corporation. He could almost envision the scene of the Gu family's empire being hollowed out and collapsing. He felt exhilarated, his peach blossom eyes glancing at Tang Xiaoman with a smile as he readily agreed. "Deal." With Kai personally stepping in, it became effortless for Tang Xiaoman to purchase 2 townhouses in the Celestial Sound Villa. Celestial Sound Villa is an affluent neighborhood in Linching and one of the highest elevated residential areas in the city. In the previous life's flood, ordinary residential buildings in the city were submerged up to over 10 floors, yet Tian Lai Villa remained unscathed. Proving it truly is a feng shui treasure. You may doubt the character of the wealthy, but never question their intelligence. After being reunited with her family, Tang Xiaoman lived in Tian Lai Villa and became quite familiar with the area. She knew there were 2 vacant townhouses in the northernmost outer area, owned by someone abroad who never returned even after the disaster in the previous life. These 2 villas were first broken into by homeless disaster victims, and later occupied by raiders. Raiders are a product of the collapsed order in the post-apocalyptic world, typically consisting of 7 or 8, or even a dozen strong men banding together, relying on force to seize supplies. As the apocalypse progresses, it becomes increasingly difficult to survive alone. One must rely on the strength of a group to defend against or attack external threats. In the end, to escape frequent earthquakes, tsunamis, and sandstorms. They had no choice but to swarm into various official or civilian disaster shelters. If a group's strength is insufficient, they risk being wiped out entirely, let alone an individual. Tang Xiaoman had survived in the post-apocalyptic world for 4 years, and she was well versed in every step required to avoid disaster. Wu Kai personally intervened, and Tang Xiaoman signed the loan agreement. The home purchase procedures were completed that same day, and she would receive the property deed in a week. It was the peak of the real estate downturn. With housing prices plummeting, she secured 2 townhouses for a total of 20 million yuan, a 4 million down payment, with the remaining 16 million borrowed from Wu Kai, to be paid in installments. Tang Xiaoman knew that when the apocalypse came, money would rapidly depreciate and eventually become utterly worthless. At that time, she could send some supplies to Wu Kai as a way to settle the debt. Now the money in her hand has a more important purpose and cannot be wasted. The home purchase procedures were completed, and it was already getting late. Yet Tang Xiaoman dared not waste a single moment. She didn't even have time for dinner, immediately busying herself with contacting renovation companies. The best steel should be used for the blade's edge. This was not the time to be calculating costs. The most upscale interior design company in Linching received a major order just before closing time. The client was extremely generous with the budget, requesting a full-service renovation package that included both hard and soft furnishings, everything from furniture and appliances to decorative items throughout the house, even down to the pots, pans, and kitchenware. Special requirement: all reinforcement and renovation materials must be bulletproof and explosion-proof grade. Tang Xiaoman agreed to pay a 2 million yuan deposit up front and insisted on including this clause in the contract. If the materials failed to meet the bulletproof and explosion-proof testing standards specified in the contract, the renovation fee must be refunded double. If the renovation cannot be completed within the stipulated 7-day timeframe, the fee must also be refunded double. The 2 adjacent townhouses required first demolishing the dividing courtyard wall, then raising and thickening all perimeter walls. In addition to reinforcing and thickening the exterior walls, the roofs were to be explosion-proofed, along with adding a layer of insulation of specified thickness. The rooftop uses alloy-thick steel plates for the gate, high-strength steel bars for the frame structure, and specially made high-tensile wire mesh covering the entire courtyard. On top of that, explosion-proof glass is embedded, with an additional layer of electric fencing above the glass. The insulation layer provides heat retention, cold resistance, and soundproofing, while the exterior coating is required to be waterproof, oil-resistant, and highly acid corrosion resistant. The 2 townhouses have been transformed into an impregnable fortress, even more secure than a prison. The head of the renovation company was dumbfounded. After a long pause, he adjusted his glasses and stammered, "Miss, have you received some inside information? Is there an enemy invasion coming soon?" Chapter 3. Just fire me already. Faced with the question, Tang Xiaoman simply smiled with serene indifference. "I helped my friend with the renovation. He has persecution delusions." "Oh, I see." The renovation company's manager hadn't expected that answer, but wisely chose not to inquire further. The customer is God. As long as the money is right, no request can't be fulfilled. Tang Xiaoman also finalized some specific requirements with him: drilling a deep well in the yard, installing a boiler in the villa, setting up a self-built underfloor heating system, and building a large fireplace in the master bedroom, among other things. The person in charge of the renovation company turned red in the face, almost wanting to ask if she was preparing a doomsday bunker, but in the end, he swallowed the words that were already on the tip of his tongue. After all, the employer had mentioned that she had a friend suffering from persecutory delusions. Rich people can do whatever they want. Tang Xiaoman walked out with the signed renovation contract in hand. The sky had long since darkened, but the sweltering summer heat hadn't dissipated much. The faint aroma of food wafted through the air, stirring the hunger pangs in her stomach. During the harsh 4 years of the apocalypse, food and resources were extremely scarce. Most people endured hunger, some even resorting to cannibalism. Tang Xiaoman couldn't remember the last time she'd had a full meal. She swallowed hard, walked into the nearest restaurant, and ordered over a dozen of her favorite dishes in one go: braised prawns, steamed fish head with chopped chili, steamed hairy crab, dompa pork, braised pork knuckle with soy sauce, braised pig's trotters, and then she ordered 2 cans of iced cola, which she had been craving for ages in the apocalypse. The waiter looked at her in surprise and asked, "Miss, how many people are in your party?" "I've invited some friends. They'll be here soon." Tang Xiaoman once again fabricated friends out of thin air. The dishes she ordered were brought out one after another, filling the entire table. Of course, no friends would come to share the meal. She had this lavish feast all to herself. She picked up her chopsticks and devoured the food like a whirlwind. The long-lost freshness and aroma of the food tantalized her taste buds, leaving her utterly intoxicated. Tears and drool streamed down Tang Xiaoman's face as she cried in overwhelming excitement. Living a second life, she was determined to live beautifully and comfortably. As for those who schemed and harmed her in her past life, she wouldn't let a single one of them off the hook. Finally, when she couldn't eat another bite, Tang Xiaoman downed the remaining half can of cola to cut through the greasiness. "Waiter, pack this up." Tang Xiaoman returned to the apartment she rented, which was very close to the Gu group. She had deliberately rented a place near the company just for the convenience of working overtime, but looking back now, it seemed like a joke. In her previous life, she gave her heart and soul to a man who wasn't worth it, only to end up dead without a complete body. In this life, she was determined to make him pay back with interest. She stored the takeout food in her space and then turned on the air conditioner. The cool breeze blew out, dispelling the stifling and humid summer heat, making her feel much more comfortable. Tang Xiaoman opened her phone app and ordered a glass of lemonade for herself, which was quickly delivered to her door. The world before the apocalypse was truly wonderful. Whatever you wanted could be delivered quickly after placing an order. It was pure bliss. Unfortunately, such a beautiful life soon vanished completely. She drank half a glass of lemon water and wanted to go shopping again, but her body felt a bit weak, thinking about how she had been working herself to the bone for Gu Heng, that ruthless wolf who devoured people without spitting out the bones, and even fell ill from exhaustion. She felt like slapping herself twice. She decided to be a little kinder to herself, sleep first, then deal with other things. Perhaps because she had been exhausted from a day of running around. Tang Xiaoman slept very soundly on her first night after rebirth, without even a nightmare. After waking up, she felt completely refreshed. Wake up, wash up, then take out the dishes packed from last night from the space. Since they were already cold when packed, she heated them up in the microwave. The aroma of the food wafted out, making her mouth water. After enduring 4 years of hunger in the apocalypse, she now has a pathological sense of cherishing food. Not a single grain can be wasted. After breakfast, she let out a contented burp and casually picked up her phone. Just then, a phone call came in. "Hey, Tang Xiaoman." Shujia's voice carried a threatening tone. "Boss Gu asked me to relay a message. If you don't return to the company today, you're fired." Tang Xiaoman laughed in exasperation. "Oh, fired, ha, ha. They're getting desperate. President Gu has always meant what he says. If you don't want to be fired, make sure to arrive at the office on time this morning. At 9 o'clock, President Gu himself will be chairing an important meeting, and you must attend." "No time," Tang Xiaoman replied unhurriedly. "What? Maybe you should just let Gu Heng fire me." She hung up the phone after saying this and then blocked the number as well. In the VIP ward of a private hospital, Upon learning that Tang Xiaoman continued to skip work and had blocked Xu Jia's number, Gu Heng's face darkened. Lying on the hospital bed, Su Rou felt uneasy and said, "Why has your sister suddenly started treating you this way? Could it be she found out something?" Gu Heng was in a somewhat bad mood, but he still comforted her gently and patiently. "Even if Tang Xiaoman finds out something, it won't change any outcome. Your father has already kicked her out, and besides the Gu group, she has nowhere else to go." Although Tang Xiaoman bears her mother's surname, the family company has now been renamed under the Su family. She has no inheritance rights and won't receive a single cent. Who could blame it, since her biological mother passed away long ago? Her father, Su Cheng, was a live-in son-in-law, yet he skillfully persuaded his wife to transfer all the shares to him. Now Tang Xiaoman, who bears her mother's surname, has become an outsider and was kicked out of the house by Su Cheng. Gu Heng believes that he was the one who took Tang Xiaoman in, so she should be grateful to him. "Ah Heng, I know you're a man of your word. Since you have a marriage contract with her, you should treat her better and go comfort her," Su Rou said understandingly. Gu Heng remained unmoved. "Rower, we grew up together as childhood friends. You should understand my feelings. Keeping Tang Xiaoman by my side is only to prepare a mobile blood bank for you." Su Rou suffered from severe nephritis and was in poor health, often requiring blood transfusions. While Tang Xiaoman's blood type happened to match hers, the doctor said if your nephritis develops into uremia, you'll need a kidney transplant. When the time comes, she can donate a kidney to you, he added. Hearing this, Su Rou was moved to tears and nestled into his arms. "Ah Heng, now I believe your heart and eyes are only for me." The two shared a tender moment in the hospital room. Su Rou thought of something else and felt uneasy. "Sister has always been devoted to you, so why did she suddenly go on strike this time? She's just throwing a little tantrum to get my attention." Gu Heng scoffed. "Just wait and see. She'll definitely show up on time for the 9 o'clock meeting." Chapter 4. The Vicious Dog Bites. Tang Xiaoman first went to a car rental company to rent a pickup truck, then drove to Tianlai Villa. Although this renovation company has a good reputation, she still wanted to see it for herself to feel at ease. Driving to Tianlai Villa, she circled to the northernmost pair of townhouses, where the construction site was already bustling with activity. Tang Xiaoman was somewhat satisfied with their efficiency and called the person in charge to emphasize a few points. "Money is no issue, but quality must be guaranteed. If you cut corners to meet deadlines, I'll demand double compensation as per the contract. Don't worry, Miss Tang, our company's reputation is widely praised. We never do shoddy work that tarnishes our name." Tang Xiaoman hung up the phone and was about to get into the car when suddenly a Tibetan Mastiff came charging at her, barking furiously. Her survival instincts, honed in the apocalypse, kicked in immediately. She swiftly opened the car door and dodged inside. Bang! The door shut just in time. The Tibetan Mastiff missed its target and viciously clawed and gnawed at the car door with its front paws, producing sharp, grating sounds. Tang Xiaoman broke out in a cold sweat. Tianlai Villa was an affluent neighborhood with excellent security before the apocalypse. How could a rabid Tibetan Mastiff suddenly appear out of nowhere? She grabbed a heavy wrench from the car's toolbox, gripping it tightly in preparation for a fight. Though the Tibetan Mastiff was ferocious, its sharp teeth and claws couldn't tear through the tough pickup truck, and its commotion had drawn a small crowd of onlookers. "Whose big dog is this? So fierce. What if it bites someone? It's already biting someone." Luckily, the person managed to hide in a car. "How terrifying. Where are the security guards? Hurry up and come deal with it. What if this mad dog injures a resident?" The wealthy value their lives above all else, and for a moment, everyone was in fear for their safety. Before the security guards could come to catch and kill the dog, its owner appeared. Tang Xiaoman looked through the car window and couldn't help but laugh in anger. It was him. The dog's owner turned out to be Tang Xiaoman's half-brother, Su Ku, who was also Su Rou's younger brother and the only beloved son of their father, Su Cheng. Su Ku had always believed that Tang Xiaoman's return threatened his sister Su Rou's position, so he constantly targeted her and often played pranks to mess with her. In her previous life, Tang Xiaoman tried to blend into the family by constantly yielding to this little tyrant, but all she got in return was escalating bullying. Several security guards had already arrived upon hearing the commotion. armed with tranquilizer guns and riot forks. Suk quickly grabbed hold of the Tibetan Mastiff and declared, "This is my dog." The security guard sized him up and forced a smile, saying, "So it's young Master Su. Your dog is quite large. Please make sure to keep it on a leash to avoid accidentally harming other residents." Got it." Suk tightened his grip on the leash, shooting a resentful glare at Tang Xiaoman, who was hiding behind the pickup truck. Who would have thought she'd react so quickly, actually dodging the Tibetan Mastiff's pounce. She got off easy this time, with one hand gripping a hefty oversized wrench and the other pushing open the car door. Tang Xiaoman stepped out with a dark expression. The previously calm Tibetan Mastiff suddenly bared its teeth again, showing clear aggression toward her. Tang Xiaoman could guess with her toes that this dog had been specially trained by Su Ke to bite her, thinking of the humiliation she endured in her past life and her tragic end. With every member of the Su family being an accomplice, her eyes turned red with fury. Today, she must collect some interest in return. The Tibetan Mastiff's eyes turned red as it kept trying to break free from the leash to lunge at and bite this woman. It remembered her scent. Its owner had ordered it to attack her every time they met. The surrounding homeowners gasped in shock one after another. "Oh my God, the dog's gone crazy again. Security, quick, fire the tranquilizer gun now." Suk released his grip, and the Tibetan Mastiff broke free, first pouncing towards the security guard holding the tranquilizer gun. The terrified guard dropped the gun and fled, while the onlookers screamed and scattered in panic. Suk whistled, and the Tibetan Mastiff swiftly turned around, barking fiercely as it lunged at Tang Xiaoman once more. Tang Xiaoman sidestepped the attack and swiftly delivered a sharp blow to the back of its head. In that split second, an ordinary person wouldn't have had time to react. But Tang Xiaoman had endured 4 years of brutal survival in the apocalypse, making her a seasoned veteran. She knew exactly how to strike lethally, and her attacks were ruthless, leaving no room for mercy. In the apocalypse, showing kindness to enemies was cruelty to oneself, a lesson she had learned all too well. Ow, 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 wow. The Tibetan Mastiff was seeing stars from the beating and howled desperately, but it was a giant breed, with a skull much harder than ordinary dogs, and surprisingly wasn't knocked down on the spot. Seeing his beloved dog suffer, Suka's eyes immediately turned vicious. He pulled out a switchblade and lunged at Tang Xiaoman. Tang Xiaoman turned around, kicked the knife out of his hand, then raised the wrench and swung it at his paw. She really wanted to kill him, but the world hadn't yet descended into the chaos of an apocalypse, and she had no desire to end up in prison. So today, she planned to break one of his claws in the name of self-defense, just a small down payment on the debt the Su family owed her. The rest of the blood debt would be repaid tenfold in time. Suka hadn't expected Tang Xiaoman to react so quickly and was momentarily stunned. Seizing the opportunity while he was dazed, Tang Xiaoman swung the heavy wrench in her hand straight at him. The Tibetan Mastiff sensed its master was in danger and immediately stopped howling, pouncing on her from behind. Its gaping maw opened wide, aiming for her slender nape, with the Tibetan Mastiff's terrifying bite force. A solid bite could have killed her on the spot. Tang Xiaoman caught the foul stench from the dog's mouth behind her and knew the beast had already lunged. She immediately withdrew the wrench aimed at Suk, raising it overhead to smash backward. The iron-hard wrench struck the dog's head, but in haste, the blow went awry, failing to deliver a fatal hit. The Tibetan Mastiff, struck heavily on the head, grew even fiercer, attacking Tang Xiaoman with frenzied intensity. Tang Xiaoman used the wrench as a weapon, narrowly dodging the Mastiff's relentless assaults, but for the moment, she couldn't kill the ferocious beast. If only she had a knife. For years into the apocalypse, she had mastered superb knife skills, but after her rebirth, she hadn't yet had the chance to buy a suitable knife. The narrowly escaped Su Ke was dumbfounded. He couldn't believe Tang Xiaoman could single-handedly take on a Tibetan Mastiff. When had she become so fierce and formidable? The fleeing residents around them were equally stunned, even forgetting to call for security to come to the rescue. Suk grew more alarmed the more he looked, increasingly convinced that Tang Xiaoman was a calamity that could no longer be kept alive. He drew a compact pistol from his waist and chambered a round. Click. Having endured countless brutal battles in the apocalypse, Tang Xiaoman was acutely sensitive to the sound of a gun being loaded. She realized that Suk was trying to plot against her, but for the moment, she couldn't fend off the Tibetan Mastiff, so she simply turned around and riskily lunged straight at Suk. Suk had already raised his pistol, but before he could take aim, he saw Tang Xiaoman pouncing toward him. Startled, he instinctively pulled the trigger. Bang! The gunshot rang out, but the pistol went flying. A nimble figure dashed out from the crowd of onlookers, lifting a long leg to kick away Suk's pistol, causing the bullet to go astray. Before the gun could hit the ground, it was caught by that person. Bang! Another gunshot rang out. Oh whoa! The Tibetan Mastiff, which had been chasing and biting Tang Xiaoman, let out a miserable howl before its massive body collapsed to the ground with a thud. After a few twitches, it lay completely still. Blood flowed from the Tibetan Mastiff's eye, winding its way to the ground. A shocking sight. Tang Xiaoman slightly parted her lashes. Such swift movements, such precise marksmanship. Su Ku, seeing his beloved dog killed on the spot, was about to erupt in anger when the gun pressed against his forehead once more. Chapter 5. Trying to pry him over, the scorching gun barrel pressed against Suk's forehead, burning him so badly that he howled in pain. Tang Xiaoman walked over and gave Suk a thorough beating with punches and kicks. Ambushing me, you black-hearted bastard. Suk was beaten so severely that he saw stars, nearly ascending to the heavens. He first cursed, then begged for mercy. Tang Xiaoman paid no attention to these, determined to vent her anger first. In the end, the brave man who had intervened stopped her. Any more and you'll kill him. His voice was deep and slightly magnetic, very pleasant to the ear. Tang Xiaoman looked up to examine the man who had come to her aid. The man appeared to be around 25 or 26 years old, with a tall, robust physique, broad shoulders and a narrow waist. His thin t-shirt clung to his body, faintly revealing the firm, powerful contours of his chest and abdominal muscles. His face was handsome and resolute, with sharp, well-defined features. His deep, piercing black eyes and a jawline as sharp as if carved by a knife added to his striking appearance. At that moment, his large hand gripping the pistol showed prominent knuckles, while the muscles of his arm bulged with a tight, fluid strength, exuding an overwhelming aura of raw masculinity. The man's deep, dark eyes also gazed intently at Tang Xiaoman, as if pondering her profession and identity. Her skills were exceptional, swift, precise, and ruthless, without the slightest hesitation. This was clearly a style honed through countless brutal real-life battles, yet her appearance resembled that of a freshly graduated college student, creating a stark contrast with her formidable combat prowess. Tang Xiaoman kicked Su Ku, who was struggling to get up, to the ground again and said cheerfully, "Then let's call the police." At 9 o'clock in the morning, the senior executives of the Gu Group gathered in the conference room. Gu Heng looked at the empty seat beside him, his face darkening with a faint tinge of green. How outrageous. Tang Xiaoman actually dared to skip work. She's worked at Gu Corporation for 2 years, and this has never happened before. Xu Jia walked in, her face filled with indignation. "President, Miss Tang isn't answering her phone." Gu Heng couldn't take it anymore. "Notify HR immediately. Fire Tang Xiaoman. She never needs to come back to the company again. She wants to use her temper to pressure him. Then he'll make sure her cleverness backfires. When the time comes, she'd better not be crying and begging him to take back his decision." Su Ku, charged with intentional homicide, instigating a dog attack, and illegal possession of firearms, was gifted a pair of silver bracelets and escorted into the police car. The dead dog was also taken away by the police as one of the pieces of evidence of the crime. Tang Xiaoman acted in self-defense, and the man who seized the gun to rescue her was performing a heroic act. Both cooperated with the police to give their statements. "Name, occupation?" the officer asked in a businesslike manner. "Zhou Chen, bodyguard." He presented the ID card he carried with him. Tang Xiaoman couldn't help but take another look at him. So he was a bodyguard. She wondered which employer was lucky enough to have hired him. Not only was he skilled, but his character also seemed excellent. Tang Xiaoman happened to be in need of a bodyguard herself and couldn't resist the thought of poaching him. As the police car drove away, Tang Xiaoman saw Zhou Chen turning to leave and quickly called out, "Mr. Zhou." Zhou Chen stopped in his tracks and glanced at her. "Let's exchange contact information," she said, pulling out her phone. To her surprise, the man refused without hesitation. "No need." With that, he turned and walked away, not looking back. Tang Xiaoman, do good deeds without leaving a name or expecting rewards. Such virtuous people are truly rare these days. Tang Xiaoman's heart ached, and her desire to poach him grew even stronger. She was just about to probe into Zhou Chen's background when she saw Su Qing and Lu Yakin, the couple, rushing over upon hearing the news. One was furious, the other was weeping. Clearly, they had just learned about Su Ke's mishap. Tang Xiaoman had no patience to waste her precious time with them. She swiftly got into the car and locked the doors. Before those two could stop the car, she stepped on the gas and left the scene. Tang Xiaoman had enough funds to stock up on goods, but unfortunately, space was limited, so she had to plan carefully. She first went to a nearby supermarket, buying everything from rice, flour, cooking oil, meat, eggs, fresh produce, condiments, household goods, to fruits, vegetables, and drinks, all according to her preferred tastes and brands. Having survived 4 years in the apocalypse, the sight of such abundant survival supplies now made her eyes turn red with greed, like a starving ghost. What a pity there wasn't enough space, otherwise, she would have spent every last penny of her remaining 90 million on stockpiling food. After filling 8 shopping carts in a row, Tang Xiaoman had several store clerks help her push them to the checkout counter for payment. The cashier looked at the 8 fully loaded shopping carts in surprise and asked, "Miss, are all these for you alone?" Tang Xiaoman nodded and requested, "Please have a few sales assistants help move these to my car." 8 shopping carts worth of food filled more than half of the pickup truck's bed. Tang Xiaoman rented a temporary garage and drove the vehicle inside. She closed the garage door and stored all the supplies from the truck bed into her space. The space had a preservation function, keeping food fresh indefinitely without expiration. Tang Xiaoman noticed the virtual screen showed only 148 cubic units of remaining space, which made her heart ache a little. She had just bought 8 shopping carts worth of food, which had already used up 2 cubic units. It seemed she would have to carefully plan the remaining space, ensuring not a single unit was wasted. Once again driving the pickup truck out, Tang Xiaoman headed to the vegetable market. The ingredients at the vegetable market are fresher than those in supermarkets. Live chickens, ducks, rabbits, fish, pigeons, quails. Unfortunately, none of them could be stored in her space. Whenever Tang Xiaoman left the space, all the live creatures would be kicked out along with her, so she opted to buy freshly slaughtered livestock instead. The freshly slaughtered poultry, still warm, was stuffed into large plastic bags, so heavy they were nearly impossible to drag. Tang Xiaoman tipped the vendor a little extra to help carry them to the open-air parking lot outside. 100 chickens, 100 ducks, 100 rabbits, 100 carp, 100 grass carp, 100 cushion carp, 100 pounds of prawns, 100 pigeons, 100 quails, all freshly slaughtered, steaming with warmth. Tang Xiaoman drove back to the rented private garage and once again stored all the supplies into her space. She didn't have time to tidy up before driving out again. Stock up, stock up, stock up. Tang Xiaoman returned to the food market, this time to buy beef, lamb, and pork, whole racks of ribs, entire legs, whole pig heads, or complete sets of offal, along with beef tripe, sheep blood, livers, and more, all freshly slaughtered. She bought a whole truckload and returned to the private garage, storing everything in her space. It wasn't until well past noon, when Tang Xiaoman's stomach was growling with hunger, that she finally paused her frenzied stockpiling. She went to a nearby barbecue restaurant and ordered the grilled chicken wings, lamb skewers, prawns, squid, and flatbread she had craved for so long in her past life, eating until one's mouth is dripping with oil, and finally washing it down with an ice-cold beer to beat the heat. Tang Xiaoman, having eaten and drunk her fill, paid the bill but wasn't in a hurry to leave. Deciding to rest for a while, she took out her phone, only to be shocked by the sight of dozens of missed calls and unread messages. Most were from the couple Su Cheng and Lu Yaofang, with some from Su Rou and Gu Heng, and even a few from her assistant, Xu Jia. She blocked Gu Heng and Xu Jia, but these two changed their numbers to call and text her. Clearly in a panic, Su Qing sent messages cursing her for harming her own brother, calling her utterly heartless, Lu Yafeng pleaded with her to come forward and write a letter of forgiveness to bail Su Ku out as soon as possible. Su Ro explained, "Please don't misunderstand me, sister, and don't take it out on our brother." Gu Hing demanded she return to work immediately. While Xu Jia informed her she had already been fired from the company, Tang Xiaoman skimmed through these dizzying messages and couldn't help but laugh in anger. These were the very people who had either caused or abetted her death in her past life. She's currently busy stockpiling supplies and building a shelter, temporarily unable to spare the effort to deal with them, yet they're jumping around quite happily. Tang Xiaoman sent them a group message, "All right, just you wait." Chapter 6. Stockpiling. As soon as Tang Xiaoman sent out the group message, a phone call came in. She didn't care at all who was calling. She hung up and blocked them without hesitation. Her time was precious, and she wouldn't waste it on such worthless people. She stored away all her grudges, old and new, waiting for the apocalypse to repay them tenfold or 100-fold. After resting for a while, she got up and left the barbecue restaurant, continuing to drive to the market to stock up on supplies. This time, she went straight to the grain and oil store, purchasing 10 bags each of high gluten flour, medium gluten flour, low gluten flour, whole wheat flour, and rice flour. She also bought 10 bags each of long grain rice, brown rice, organic rice, and glutinous rice. Additionally, there were 10 bags each of various coarse grains and legumes, all of which the shop owner helped load into the pickup truck's bed. Tang Xiaoman returned to the garage again, storing the grains in her space. Seeing the remaining cubic meters on the virtual display screen, she felt another pang of frustration. With only a total of 150 cubic meters, she had already used up a third of it. Tang Xiaoman drove to the vegetable market again, this time purchasing all kinds of fresh vegetables and fruits, totaling 200 to 300 jin. She hired someone to help load them onto the pickup truck. She stored the vegetables in her space and then headed to the pharmacy. In the apocalypse, besides food, medicine is the most precious resource. Food can sustain life, but medicine can save it. Drawing from her past life survival experience, Tang Xiaoman made a long list of the most commonly needed medications: normal saline, glucose, white gauze, iodophor, various cold medicines, antiviral Chinese patent medicines, cough syrup, anti-inflammatory drugs, fever reducers, antibiotics, vitamins, and various types of masks, to avoid drawing attention. She bought 10 units from each pharmacy and swept through over a dozen pharmacies in one afternoon. As for prescription drugs, they could only be obtained by visiting a hospital and getting a doctor's prescription. Tang Xiaoman decided to find a reliable doctor and figure out a way to stock up on essential prescription medications and medical equipment. After stocking up on food and medicine, she headed to the outdoor water sports specialty store. The first disasters to strike in the apocalypse would be floods and typhoons. For a considerable period, water transportation would replace land transportation, with kayaks and motorboats becoming as essential as cars in the city. Tang Xiaoman bought 200 kayaks, 100 motorboats, 50 waterproof mining lamps, 20 air pumps, 50 diesel generators, and 50 solar generators in one go. She stored the supplies in her space and realized there were only a few cubic meters left. 100 assault boats and 200 kayaks were deflated and folded, but they still took up a considerable amount of space. Tang Xiaoman simply moved all the non-perishable supplies into her 80 square meter living quarters. The space was reserved solely for food and medicine, as these items needed to be kept fresh and preserved. Fortunately, moving items through space didn't require any physical effort. She spent over half an hour sorting and organizing. Freeing up more than 10 cubic meters of space, Tang Xiaoman drove out again, this time heading straight to the military supply store. 100 pairs of military protective gloves, 20 military canteens, 10 boxes of military compressed biscuits, 20 military knives, 20 pairs of military boots in 3 common sizes, and 20 sets of military camouflage uniforms in 3 common sizes and 3 colors each, plus 20 sets of black combat uniforms. She specifically selected camouflage uniforms and military combat boots in her size, and additionally purchased 20 bolts of camouflage fabric in various colors and materials, 10 small portable electric sewing machines, 20 pairs of scissors of various models, 100 spools of thread in different colors, as well as measuring tools like soft and hard tapes. It wasn't that she only loved military uniforms and not feminine attire, but she knew that once the apocalypse began, the rest of her life would largely be spent in battle. Military combat uniforms would be her primary clothing for the rest of her life. Not only did she need to stock up for herself, but she also had to prepare enough for her teammates, having lived a second life. She had no intention of going it alone. She knew that forming a team to fend off external threats was the only way to survive. She also purchased 20 military helmets, 20 night vision goggles, 20 binoculars, 100 black face masks and 100 camouflage face masks in various colors, 50 pairs of explosion-proof goggles, 50 lag holsters, and 50 multifunctional tactical belts. Tang Xiaoman returned to the garage with a truckload of military supplies and stored everything in her space. By the time she drove to the outdoor equipment store, it was already dark. Tang Xiaoman was exhausted to the point of collapse, but she didn't dare to stop. After rebirth, there wasn't much time left for her to prepare, and not a single minute or second could be wasted. Tang Xiaoman purchased 20 tents, 50 thermal sleeping bags, 20 portable outdoor stoves, and 100 gas canisters, 20 pairs of men's roller skates in 3 common sizes, 20 skateboards, 20 sleds, and 10 snowmobiles. These would serve as transportation in the frigid polar night environment. Tang Xiaoman returned to the garage and stored the supplies in her space, seeing that the living space was almost overflowing with supplies, and knowing that the static space was meant for preserving freshness and quality, she decided to rent a large warehouse and an open training ground for both storage and practice, especially since she also needed to hire a security team. Life-saving supplies were stored in the space, while daily necessities were guarded by teammates, freeing up more room. Tang Xiaoman returned to her rented apartment after dinner outside, utterly exhausted. Just as she was about to enter the elevator, she noticed a few people peering around suspiciously. With the sharp observational skills honed in her past life, she immediately sensed something was wrong. Tang Xiaoman made a quick decision and turned to flee. Several burly men chased after her, shouting, "Grab her! Don't let her escape!" Tang Xiaoman ran even faster. While running, she took out her phone to dial the emergency number. Before the order collapses, it's still best to call the police when in danger. The police quickly apprehended those thugs, and after a brief interrogation, the thugs revealed the mastermind behind the scenes, Xu Jia. Xu Jia was summoned to the police station, her face pale with fear and her eyes brimming with tears. "I'm sorry. I had some personal grievances with Tang Xiaoman at work, so I hired a few people to scare her. I never intended to actually harm her." She turned to Tang Xiaoman and pleaded, "Tang Xiaoman, please forgive me. After all, you weren't really hurt, right?" Tang Xiaoman sneered and pressed, "Did you really hire these people? If you tell me the truth, I'll forgive you." Xu Jia's eyes flickered, but she insisted, "Yes, I hired them. I was just playing a joke on you. The law doesn't play jokes." Tang Xiaoman knew she wouldn't betray Gu Heng and didn't want to waste any more words on her. "Then you can stay in detention and reflect on your actions. When the apocalypse comes, Xu Jia will still be stuck in detention, likely abandoned by Gu Heng as a disposable pawn." She could no longer stay by Gu Heng's side as she had in her past life, constantly offering bad advice and abetting wrongdoing. The thought filled Tang Xiaoman with immense satisfaction. As Tang Xiaoman stepped out of the police station, she encountered Gu Heng and Su Rou, who had just arrived by car. Su Rou staggered over, looking so fragile that a gust of wind might blow her away. "Sister, if you have any grievances, direct them at me. Don't target Su Ku, and don't drag Xu Jia into this, okay?" When Tang Xiaoman saw Su Rou, she was reminded of her past life where she was forced to serve as Su Rou's mobile blood bank and spare organ repository. And an intense hatred welled up in her heart. Of course, the one she hated even more was Gu Heng. After her rebirth, before she could even free her hands to deal with this despicable couple, they had already come forward asking for trouble. Chapter 7. Does hitting you make you feel good? Gu Heng quickly stepped forward, supporting Su Rou's unsteady figure, his brows furrowing as he cast a displeased glance at Tang Xiaoman. Tang Xiaoman's delicate features seemed veiled in frost under the light. Especially those almond-shaped eyes that gleamed with sharp intensity. Truly, she was as beautiful as peach blossoms yet as cold as ice. Gu Heng felt that she seemed different from before, yet couldn't pinpoint exactly what had changed. Suppressing the strange feeling in his heart, he spoke in a cold, reprimanding tone. No matter how much dissatisfaction or resentment you have, you shouldn't bring it into your work. Skipping the company meeting without reason is bad enough. But you even took your anger out on Su Ro. You know perfectly well that Roer is in poor health, and she's your sister. Shouldn't you be more considerate of her? Here we go again. Tang Xiaoman couldn't help but laugh in exasperation upon hearing these words. Su Ro's eyes brimmed with tears, on the verge of weeping. Sister, I beg you to spare Su Ku, spare Shu Jia. If only you would show mercy, you can even hit or scold me if you wish. As she spoke, she lunged forward, grabbing Tang Xiaoman's hand and pretending to hit herself with it. Slap. Tang Xiaoman seized the moment and struck her with a resounding slap. Su Ro, her pale face bore 5 distinct red fingerprints, her gums were loosened, her head was knocked sideways, and her body swayed violently. Fortunately, Gu Heng reacted quickly and caught her, exclaiming, Roer, are you alright? Su Ro was completely stunned by the blow, even forgetting her usual sweet talk. Gu Heng turned and glared fiercely at Tang Xiaoman, angrily rebuking, how dare you lay a hand on Roer? Tang Xiaoman raised an eyebrow, looking at Su Ro with an innocent expression, and said in surprise, good heavens, I've never met someone like you. Actually taking my hand to hit yourself. Do you have a screw loose? Does it feel good when I hit you? Su Ro's face turned bright red, completely at a loss. She opened her mouth, wanting to accuse Tang Xiaoman. But it was clearly her who had pulled her hand to hit herself just now. But who would have thought that Tang Xiaoman would actually hit, and hit so hard at that? Su Ro suffered in silence, unable to voice her grievances, tears streaming down her face. Gu Heng shielded Su Ro behind him, his eyes practically blazing with fury. Through gritted teeth, he spat out an icy sentence. Tang Xiaoman, don't go too far. Su Ro's dazed mind finally caught up. Enduring the searing pain on her cheek, she continued with her sweetly manipulative words, Brother Aheng, don't blame sister. If it can make her calm down and spare Su Ku and Shu Jia, I don't mind taking a slap. Before she could finish, Gu Heng couldn't contain his anger and stepped forward, shoving Tang Xiaoman hard. Tang Xiaoman quickly stepped back, appearing to be pushed down by him, but in reality, she wasn't actually pushed. She took the opportunity to fall to the ground, shouting, help, a man is hitting a woman, a man is hitting a woman right in front of the police station. Asterisk, the surveillance cameras at the police station entrance were comprehensive, clearly recording the entire altercation. Su Ro and Gu Heng proactively stopped Tang Xiaoman, with Su Ro initiating physical contact by pulling at her and even guiding Tang's hand to hit herself. Gu Heng then stepped forward to shove Tang Xiaoman, resulting in her being pushed to the ground. Tang Xiaoman's act of hitting Su Ro occurred because the latter had actively pulled her hand to do so, whereas Gu Heng's physical aggression constituted intentional harm. A man hitting a woman is unjustifiable to begin with, and he was the one who struck first, with irrefutable evidence. Gu Heng was also detained at the police station. Su Ro wept pitifully, blocking Tang Xiaoman from leaving. Sister, please let Gu Heng go. There's really nothing between us. I beg you not to misunderstand and not to take it out on him. What, you still want me to hit you? Tang Xiaoman rubbed her ears, seemingly incredulous. Good heavens, so you're into this kind of thing. Su Ro could no longer keep up the act. Gnashing her teeth in anger, she hissed, Tang Xiaoman, when did you learn to play dumb? If we're talking about acting, I'm nowhere near your level. Tang Xiaoman flashed her a smile that could kill without compensation. Bye-bye. She turned and walked away. Su Ro was unwilling to let her leave and quickly chased after her. Tang Xiaoman had endured 4 years in the apocalypse. How could she possibly be caught? Thud. Su Ro fell to the ground, but Tang Xiaoman didn't even glance back. After all, she hadn't laid a finger on her. If she fell, she deserved it. Asterisk. Tonight's incident taught Tang Xiaoman a lesson. She could no longer return to her old apartment to live. Tang Xiaoman went to a hotel to check in and moved up the steps to hire a bodyguard. scheduling it for tomorrow. The Su family and Gu Heng would only grow more ruthless. She had to prioritize her personal safety first. After a tiring day, the results were bountiful. In addition to stockpiling a large amount of supplies, she also conveniently sent Su Ku, Shu Jia, and Gu Heng to the police station. It's estimated that these three will be busy with bail and clearing their charges for quite some time. It won't be so easy for them to trouble her anymore. Tang Xiaoman took a hot shower and lay down as the night grew deep. She had intended to go over the next day's schedule, but exhaustion took over, and she fell asleep as soon as her head touched the pillow. The next day, Tang Xiaoman, fully rested, embarked on a new day's journey. She drove to Lin City's largest security company, Blazing Shield, and tipped a hefty 100,000 yuan right off the bat. The company's manager, Mr. Zhang, realizing she was a high-profile client, personally attended to her. Tang Xiaoman immediately requested to hire 16 bodyguards. Upon hearing such a lucrative deal, Manager Zhang's eyes gleamed with excitement. Miss Tang, do you have any specific requirements, besides being capable in combat? The most important requirement is being unmarried, having no immediate family, and no girlfriend. Tang Xiaoman's words were shocking. Manager Zhang was utterly dumbfounded, thinking he must have misheard. Tang Xiaoman repeated her demand once more. What I want is a true loner, do you understand? Manager Zhang, true to his reputation as a man of the world. Manager Zhang quickly closed his gaping mouth and nodded. Understood. Some wealthy individuals consider that enemies might coerce their bodyguards by threatening their family members, forcing the bodyguards to betray them. Therefore, bodyguards who are lone wolves are more reliable and safer for their employers. Tang Xiaoman didn't waste words and directly laid out the terms. Each bodyguard earns a monthly salary of 200,000. There's a monthly elimination round. Those who pass the first probationary month will see their salary rise to 300,000 in the second month. Those who pass the second probationary month will have their salary increased to 500,000 in the third month. Manager Zhang's eyes widened in disbelief. Miss Tang, are you serious? Although Linqing has no shortage of wealthy people, few are this extravagant in their spending. Bodyguards earning over 100,000 a month are already as rare as phoenix feathers, let alone those whose salaries double every month. If these conditions were made public, wouldn't bodyguards be scrambling over each other to apply? Even the married ones would divorce. Those with girlfriends would break up immediately, and they'd disown any immediate family members. Tang Xiaoman smiled faintly. If anyone conceals their family relations for the sake of the high salary, they'll be required to pay 5 times the compensation upon discovery, and the penalty will be covered by your company. Manager Zhang, remember to include this clause in the contract. Manager Zhang's eyes, which had just lit up with excitement, dimmed again as he awkwardly rubbed his nose. Ahem, that can be arranged. This woman is extremely cunning. She doesn't demand compensation from the bodyguards themselves but insists the security company pays, thus shifting all the risk onto the company. The security company has no other tricks up its sleeve except to vet candidates thoroughly for her. Tang Xiaoman noticed Manager Zhang's slightly troubled expression and blinked, offering him a solution. If your company can't find 16 unattached individuals, why not recruit from other security firms? Major security companies have business collaborations with each other, and their network of connections is far beyond what she could compare to. Tang Xiaoman didn't want to waste too much energy and time on finding bodyguards. She would rather spend a bit more money and let the Blazing Shield handle everything. After all, when the disaster strikes, money will quickly lose its value and eventually become worthless. Her space is limited, and even if she wanted to stockpile more supplies, there's nowhere to put them. When money can make a difference, she must make the most of it. Manager Zhang laughed even more awkwardly. Ahem, Miss Tang is too clever. That was indeed his plan. It's just that having to share such a large piece of the pie made him a bit reluctant. At this moment, the assistant walked in and whispered something into Manager Zhang's ear. Tang Xiaoman faintly heard the person say, Zhou Yichen was fired by his employer and is now back at the company waiting for a new assignment. Chapter 8. Hoarding bodyguards. Hearing Zhou Yichen's name, Tang Xiaoman felt a stir in her heart. Yesterday, she was attacked by Suk at Tianlai Villa, and a bodyguard named Zhou Yichen helped her seize the gun and kill the dog. Today, A bodyguard named Zhou Chen was fired by his employer at the security company. What a coincidence. Upon hearing this, Manager Zhang was not angry but rather pleased. He immediately said to Tang Xiaoman, "There happens to be a bodyguard who perfectly fits the requirements right now. Would Miss Tang like to meet him?" The assistant called Zhou Chen into the manager's office. Tang Xiaoman looked up and examined the tall, well-built man. When their eyes met, he visibly froze for a moment. She smiled. It was indeed him. Seeing Tang Xiaoman's evident satisfaction, Manager Zhang introduced with a grin. "Zhou Chen is our top bodyguard at Blazing Shield, a retired Special Forces soldier with exceptional skills. Most importantly, he fully meets Miss Tang's requirements. No immediate family, unmarried, and no girlfriend." Zhou Chen was slightly taken aback, his sharp gaze turning toward Manager Zhang. Manager Zhang spread his hands and said, "You should really tone down your personality a bit, otherwise, no matter how skilled you are, you'll keep getting fired by employers." So, what was the reason this time? In times of peace, what the wealthy look for in bodyguards is obedience. For a bodyguard who's rebellious, disobedient, and even dares to talk back, the usual outcome is immediate dismissal. Tang Xiaoman seemed to have guessed something and turned to Zhou Chen. "Was your dismissal related to what happened yesterday?" Zhou Chen replied indifferently, "It's for personal reasons." Manager Zhang was somewhat surprised. "You two know each other?" Tang Xiaoman briefly recounted yesterday's incident. "Fortunately, Mr. Zhou stepped in to help, otherwise I might have been injured. Perhaps the outcome wouldn't have changed, but she couldn't have walked away unscathed." Manager Zhang was delighted. "It seems you two are truly fated to meet." At this point, he turned to Zhou Chen and said, "Miss Tang is offering a high salary to hire a bodyguard, 200,000 for the first month, 300,000 for the second, and 500,000 for the third. Your qualifications are a perfect fit, unmarried, no girlfriend, and no immediate family." Tang Xiaoman noticed Zhou Chen's expression darkened slightly and realized her offer might have been offensive. She quickly added, "Mr. Zhou can be an exception, rules are rigid, but people are flexible. When encountering a teammate like Zhou Chen with exceptional skills and good character, other conditions can be appropriately relaxed." Manager Zhang said with a smile, "Then it's settled. Zhou Chen is the first bodyguard hired, and there are 15 more to come." Zhou Chen glanced at Tang Xiaoman but ultimately didn't refuse. He had been getting fired repeatedly, and if he missed this opportunity, he might end up unemployed. Tang Xiaoman paid a deposit of 1 million, and Manager Zhang personally took charge of finding 15 additional bodyguards. Zhou Chen, who had already been successfully hired, naturally stayed by Tang Xiaoman's side to protect her at all times. Tang Xiaoman invited him to sit down and said, "Your dismissal is related to me." Affirmative sentence. Zhou Chen didn't hide it anymore and said calmly, "The employer thought I was meddling in other people's business, complained that I offended the Su family, and indirectly offended the Gu family. He asked me to go to the Su family to apologize in person, but I refused." Tang Xiaoman looked at him with even deeper eyes, rubbing her hands excitedly. "There are very few bodyguards like you who are upright, kind, and stick to principles. Your former employer failed to recognize your worth. It's his loss. If that employer hadn't been blind, how could she have easily picked up such a bargain? It saved her the effort and time of poaching him." Zhou Chen watched her rubbing her hands together eagerly, the corner of his mouth twitching slightly. Why did he feel like the way she was looking at him was as excited as a beast spotting its prey? Tang Xiaoman's time was precious. She wouldn't just sit here waiting idly. She came this time specifically to recruit Zhou Chen and was very satisfied with his skills and character. Immediately taking him out of the manager's office, "Miss Tang, I've found 5 more qualified bodyguards for you to review." Manager Zhang hurried back, afraid she might leave, and quickly called out to her. Tang Xiaoman stopped and looked at the 5 bodyguards Manager Zhang had brought over. Each of them was tall and muscular, with sharp eyes and clean, neat buzz cuts. They looked quite impressive. Tang Xiaoman looked them over one by one and gave a slight nod. Manager Zhang seized the opportunity. "Take them all with you. I'll hurry to find the rest for you as soon as possible." For each bodyguard successfully recruited, the daily wage would be nearly 7,000 yuan. the company takes a 30% cut. The business manager gets half of that. And the amount doubles every month thereafter. The thought of the commission made manager Zhang's blood boil with excitement, but he was frustrated that he couldn't immediately gather so many bare-bones commanders. Tang Xiaoman made a request to the 5 bodyguards. In addition to daytime training, surveillance cameras will also be installed in the bedrooms where you sleep at night. Can you accept this? Hearing this, the 5 bodyguards all changed their expressions. What? Installing cameras where we sleep at night? This is too much. You're violating our privacy by doing this. Aren't bodyguards human too? Don't we have dignity or our own private space? Not just those 5 were indignant. Zhou Chen's expression also darkened. He was the first to clearly voice his refusal. I disagree. You're the exception. Tang Xiaoman quickly cut him off, blinking her eyes. You're the team leader and have your own separate dorm. No need for surveillance cameras. Zhou Chen, the 5 bodyguards grew even more indignant upon hearing this. Why the double standard? Aren't we human too? He has already passed the assessment and been officially hired. Tang Xiaoman slightly raised her chin and arched her eyebrows as she said, you haven't passed the assessment yet and could be eliminated at any time. At the mention of potential elimination, they all fell silent. The first month's salary was 200,000, the second month 300,000. The third month 500,000. Previously, their monthly income had been at most 10,000, with 20 or 30,000 considered elite-level earnings. Miss Tang offered too much for them to refuse. Well, installing surveillance in the dorm room is fine. Sacrificing dignity and privacy for a high salary isn't entirely unacceptable. Tang Xiaoman successfully recruited 6 bodyguards in just one visit to the security company, and one of them was Zhou Chen, whom she had already taken a liking to the day before. Quite a fruitful haul. She exchanged contact information with Zhou Chen, then handed him a bank card and assigned him a task. There's $1 million in this card. First, help me rent a short-term venue for half a month. Preferably a warehouse or factory building near Tianlai Villa, with enough space to accommodate the daily training and lodging of 16 bodyguards, plus sufficient storage capacity. Then arrange their meals and accommodations, except for your own dormitory. The others must have surveillance cameras installed. Also, equip them with a full set of self-defense gear. Just follow the standards you used in the military. All expenses will be covered by this card. So remember to keep the receipts for accounting. By the way, you'll also need to rent a few vehicles, with a minimum capacity to accommodate 16 people for commuting. Also, don't forget to set up a bedroom specifically for me. I'll be living there from now on. Zhou Chen was somewhat surprised and quickly grasped the key point. Equipped according to military standards, Tang Xiaoman smiled faintly. Whatever you can get your hands on, just spend the money to buy it. As for what you can't obtain, we'll deal with that later. Currently, the control over firearms is still quite strict, but once the disaster strikes, she'll find a way. In the apocalypse, firearms are absolutely essential equipment for survival. Chapter 9. Let's go home. Tang Xiaoman didn't know much about Zhou Chen's background, but after yesterday's incident, she had gained enough trust in his character. The fact that he couldn't stand Suko bullying the weak and stepped forward to help a complete stranger was enough to prove the innate sense of justice and responsibility in his bones. He would rather be fired by his employer than stoop to apologize to the Su family, proving his unyielding pride and strong sense of dignity. Most importantly, apart from him, Tang Xiaoman hadn't found anyone else she could trust for the time being, so she handed him $1 million card. Entrusted him with 5 bodyguards, and then turned around to continue her busy stockpiling. Tang Xiaoman's space is limited, so she only stocks survival supplies that are exclusively for her own use. In addition, she also needs to store an extra batch of communal supplies specifically for team expenses. She planned to hire 16 bodyguards, but the final number retained would be between 8 and 10. With an elimination rate of nearly half, the apocalypse is brutal. So she must be strict in selecting her teammates, screen out those that don't meet the requirements. Time is not on her side. Tang Xiaoman headed straight for the liquor store this time, purchasing every brand of baijiu, red wine, fruit wine, rice wine, and champagne available, from Wuliangye, Matai, and Finjo to vodka, whiskey, and martell. She bought them all. Next came every brand of cigarettes. especially the soft and hard packaged Schwazi, which she cleared out entirely. The shopkeeper was so shocked his mouth could have caught flies. Once he snapped out of it, he was overjoyed and eagerly helped load the goods into the pickup truck bed. Tang Xiaoman swiped her card without batting an eye, spending over 3 million, leaving the shop owner so moved that tears welled up in his eyes, silently exclaiming that the god of wealth had arrived. As she was leaving, the shop owner respectfully handed her his business card. "You're always welcome to visit again. If there's anything you need help with, just say the word, and I'll do my best." Tang Xiaoman drove back to the rented garage and stored all the cigarettes and alcohol in her space. In the apocalypse, tobacco and alcohol can be used as hard currency to exchange for supplies, especially liquor, which has no expiration date, is the most reliable and profitable investment. Tang Xiaoman checked her account balance. There was still over 87 million left. She had to convert as much of this money as possible into supplies before the disaster struck to ensure it wouldn't lose its value. Tang Xiaoman drove to the hardware store. This time, she was stockpiling cold weapons. Due to strict firearm control, the only weapons she can legally stockpile now are those found in hardware stores: 50 largest nail guns and 30 high-powered chainsaws. The former can achieve a firing range of nearly 10 meters, making it highly practical in actual combat. The latter boasts significant lethality and intimidation. The shopkeeper looked at her with a different expression. "Miss, what exactly are you planning to do with all these? She doesn't look like a renovation team leader either." Tang Xiaoman smiled slightly and once again fabricated a friend. "My friend is starting a renovation team, and he's too busy, so I'm helping him get some tools. Both of these items are very dangerous. You must be careful," the shop owner repeatedly warned. The largest nail gun uses steel nails and can shoot up to 10 meters. If there's an accidental injury, it could be fatal. Tang Xiaoman nodded obediently. "I understand, the power still isn't quite enough, so she plans to find a mechanic to help modify it when she has time. Extending the range to 20 meters would be perfect." Tang Xiaoman also bought 10 cans of camouflage paint, an electric drill, a welding machine, steel nails of various sizes, as well as pliers, wrenches, and expansion screws in all kinds of specifications. The shop owner helped load everything into the truck bed. She drove back to the garage and stored everything in the two-bedroom unit within her space. The two-bedroom apartment was packed with various supplies, including deflated assault boats and kayaks, leaving little room to spare. Moreover, Tang Xiaoman had also stored over 3 million yuan worth of cigarettes and alcohol, occupying 10 cubic meters of space. Only about 20 cubic meters remained for storing perishable goods. She moved all the boxes of baijiu, which wouldn't expire, into the living quarters, cramming the rooms even fuller. Fortunately, this freed up an additional 4 cubic meters of space, allowing for the storage of more perishable supplies. Tang Xiaoman decided that once Zhou Chen rented the new space, she would move some of the bulky supplies there for storage, freeing up room to continue stockpiling goods. Tang Xiaoman drove out again when her phone vibrated. Another call from an unfamiliar number. Having just hired 6 bodyguards, she worried it might be an emergency contact from them, so she answered. "Miss Tang, this is Boai Pet Hospital. The dog you've been boarding with us has reached the renewal period. Would you like to continue the boarding service?" A sweet and pleasant voice came through the phone. Tang Xiaoman was taken aback. A boarded dog, her Fubao. Fubao was a stray dog she had adopted. From picking up a frail and pitiful stray puppy by the roadside to watching it grow into a majestic German shepherd, she adored it deeply. However, because Gu Heng disliked it, and since she had moved from the Su family's villa to a cramped apartment that wasn't suitable for keeping a dog, she had to leave it at a pet hospital for fostering. In her previous life, she never managed to retrieve it from the pet hospital before the flood came, and it likely drowned. Fubao's death remained a hidden pain in her heart. Having lived a second life, she was determined not to let history repeat itself and was resolved to save it this time. Tang Xiaoman drove to the pet hospital and arrived in front of the iron cage where Fubao was being kept. "Fubao," she called out. Clang! A tall and sturdy German shepherd raised its front paws, incessantly scratching at the iron cage, emitting low whimpers that sounded like a mix of sorrow and weeping. It hadn't seen its owner for so long and thought she had abandoned it. "Fubao, Tang Xiaoman couldn't hold back her tears, her heart filled with guilt and regret. In this life, she would never let Fu Bao leave her again. She asked the little nurse to open the iron cage, and Fu Bao immediately darted out, leaping into her arms. Tang Xiaoman was nearly knocked over by the sturdy dog, startling the little nurse beside her. "Miss Tang, are you all right?" the little nurse asked worriedly. "Do you need me to call a doctor for help?" Tang Xiaoman waved her hand to stop him. "It's just too excited from not seeing me for so long. Put down the leash and go out first." Woof. She hugged Fu Bao and cried for a long time, while Fu Bao kept whimpering, "I'm sorry, Fu Bao. I'll never abandon you again." Tang Xiaoman personally fastened the leash for it and gently stroked its head. "Let's go home." The dogs fostered in the iron cages grew restless, scratching and pawing at the bars, howling in distress. Fu Bao affectionately rubbed against its owner's leg and, under the envious and jealous gazes of its companions, proudly followed its owner away. The owner said they were taking it home. "Bye-bye, buddies." Tang Xiaoman bought 30 cases of pet canned food in various flavors, along with 50 bags of dog food, 30 bags of freeze-dried treats. Then came the dog bed, dog toilet, pet bathtub, pet shampoo, pet cleaning wipes, and so on. Fu Bao was both excited and overjoyed. Its owner had bought so many wonderful things for it. What a lucky little pup it was. Tang Xiaoman had someone help load the items into the pickup truck bed, then opened the rear door. Fu Bao immediately jumped into the car, even picking up the dog leash along the way. Tang Xiaoman closed the car door, thanked the hospital staff for their help, and then reminded them. "A friend of mine works at the weather station and mentioned that a super typhoon is expected to pass through in the next month, which could very likely cause flooding. Your hospital is in a relatively low-lying area, so it might be best to relocate the pets to higher ground sooner rather than later." The staff member paused for a moment, then nodded with a smile. Tang Xiaoman wasn't sure if they truly took her advice to heart, but she had done her part by warning them. The rest was out of her hands. She had just settled into the driver's seat when another call came in. Having just picked up Fu Bao, she was in a decent mood and answered the call. "Tang Xiaoman," came Gu Heng's voice, filled with barely contained fury. His words almost gritted through clenched teeth as he warned, "Don't push your luck too far." Tang Xiaoman's brows furrowed. Gu Heng's voice seemed laced with ice shards. "You did all this just to compete with Rower for attention. Trying to get me to notice you. Let me tell you, your actions only make me despise you even more. I advise you to know your limits." Chapter 10. The space can't hold it anymore. Tang Xiaoman was so angry she laughed. This time, she didn't rush to hang up. Instead, she fired back fiercely. "Delusional narcissist. Drop dead." What did you say?" This time, it was Gu Heng's turn to furrow his brows. "I said, you idiot, go die." Tang Xiaoman decisively hung up the phone and then blocked the number. Fu Bao was already barking furiously. It had heard that bastard's voice and really wanted to bite him. It was this villain who incited the owner to abandon it. It wanted to bite him to death. "Fu Bao, be good." Tang Xiaoman turned around and reached out to soothe the dog in the back seat. "From now on, I won't let that scumbag hurt you again. There will never be a next time." Fu Bao finally received its owner's promise of unwavering loyalty. Overwhelmed with both grievance and excitement, tears welled up in its eyes. In the VIP ward of a private hospital, the severely injured Su Ku was released on medical parole. Gu Heng was also released on bail. The Gu and Su families expended enormous financial resources and personal favors, going to great lengths to successfully secure the release of Su Ku and Gu Heng, but Xu Jia remained in police custody. After all, no one wanted to spend that much money or owe countless favors for an assistant. She simply wasn't worth that much in Gu Heng's eyes. At this moment, Su Ku, lying on the hospital bed, was wrapped up like a mummy from head to toe. He cursed Tang Xiaoman incessantly in a fit of impotent rage. Gu Heng and the 3 members of the Su family stood nearby. Tang Xiaoman's voice came through the phone loud and clear. "Die. You mediocre man with unwarranted confidence. I say, you idiot, go die." If they hadn't heard it with their own ears, no one present would have believed these were the words Tang Xiaoman said to Gu Heng. Even Su Ku forgot to continue cursing. Gu Heng's face turned red then white as he muttered, "Has Tang Xiaoman been possessed by a ghost?" Su Ro clenched her delicate jade-like fingers, her voice trembling as if on the verge of tears. Sister must have misunderstood our relationship, that's why she's being so extreme. Wasn't this Tang Xiaoman just brother Ahang's lapdog? How did she suddenly become so bold? Su Ke found it unbelievable. At the same time, he recalled Tang Xiaoman's swift, dragon-like movements and her fierce killing techniques. It was as if she had become a completely different person, sending an involuntary shiver down his spine. Lu Yafang quickly scolded, "She is still your sister, and Ahang's girlfriend after all. No matter how many outrageous things she does or how harsh her words are. For the sake of your father and Ahang, you must treat her with some respect." Suk was instantly provoked into a rage, forgetting his fear as he continued viciously, "She's nothing but trash. Don't think just because she suddenly got tough, I'm scared of her. Next time I see her, I'll still set the dogs on her." But then he remembered his beloved dog had already been killed, deepening his hatred for Tang Xiaoman. Su Cheng was also so furious he felt like he might have a stroke. Turning to Gu Heng, he said, "I think this rebellious daughter has gone mad. If we don't teach her a lesson soon, her next step will be patricide and uxoricide." A vein bulged at Gu Heng's temple, his chest choked with a surge of fury. "Ah Heng, after all, she is your fiancée. You should forgive her," Su Ro sensibly advised. Gu Heng clenched his fists and said coldly, "I'm going to break off the engagement with her." Su Ke snorted. "Just breaking off the engagement, that's letting her off too easily." A flash of ruthlessness crossed Gu Heng's eyes as he said, "I'll make her pay the price. When she is no longer his fiancée, then he won't have to hold back. At that time, he'll teach her a harsh lesson. First take her innocence, then ruin her reputation. Let's see how she handles that." Zhou Chen truly lives up to being a retired Special Forces soldier. His efficiency is astonishing. Tang Xiaoman drove Fu Bao to the newly rented venue and found that both the location and environment perfectly met her requirements. It wasn't far from Tianlai Villa. Being a previously closed-down club, the club had 5 floors, offering both open spaces for team training and ample private rooms that could serve as personal dormitories, each equipped with its own bathroom. Additionally, Zhou Chen had rented 3 7-seater business vehicles, low-key yet comfortable. Ideal for transporting the team during commutes. Tang Xiaoman praised him for being reliable and doing a great job, while Zhou Chen presented a lengthy bill. The venue rental is also quite impressive, 160,000 for half a month, with a lease contract signed. Then there are the car rental fees, hiring part-time workers to clean and organize the venue, purchasing training facilities and equipment, setting up the dormitory, and installing surveillance. Additionally, there are deposits for the venue and car rentals, as well as various expedited fees, totaling 620,000. We've already paid 470,000, and the remaining balance will be settled once everything is finalized. Tang Xiaoman gave him another thumbs up and praised, "Spending where it's needed. You totally understand how desperate I am for speed." Right now, all she cared about was speed, not saving money. Zhou Chen's decisive and efficient working style suits her perfectly. Seeing her employer's beaming expression, Zhou Chen felt slightly surprised. He had expected her to complain about the high bill and blame him for not helping her save money. Moreover, he had already prepared a retort, "If you want things done quickly and beautifully, you have to pay a beautiful price." But she didn't blame him at all for spending extra money. Instead, she kept praising him, making him feel a bit embarrassed. Zhou Chen tried to return the card to her, but she waved her hand dismissively. "You can keep the remaining money for me. If there's anything that needs to be purchased for the venue, just make the decision and buy it directly. Afterwards, just give me the receipts." Woof, Fu Bao barked to assert his presence. Zhou Chen glanced at the dog. "What a majestic German shepherd. Let me introduce you. This is my pet, Fu Bao." Tang Xiaoman made the introductions for them. "Fu Bao, this is Zhou Chen, the new head of my security team. You'll be seeing a lot of each other from now on." Woof, Fu Bao accepted readily, showing none of the hostility it had displayed when meeting Gu Heng. Zhou Chen sized up the German shepherd and praised, "Good dog." Woof, feeling affirmed, Fu Bao liked him even more and wagged its big tail. Tang Xiaoman then led Fu Bao to greet the other 5 bodyguards. Fu Bao sniffed their hands, memorizing their scents. Woof. Tang Xiaoman handed Fu Bao over to Zhou Chen and instructed. While you're training the bodyguards, help me train the dog too. When new teammates arrive in the future, you'll be responsible for introducing them to Fu Bao. Zhou Chen saw her turning to leave again and called out to stop her. Wait, Tang Xiaoman halted, turned around, and raised an eyebrow. Zhou Chen reminded her, you should still bring a bodyguard when you go out. After spending a fortune to hire so many bodyguards, she goes out alone. Tang Xiaoman's eyes immediately curved into crescents. I knew it. You're a very competent head of security. Other people's bodyguards tend to avoid extra trouble. If their employer doesn't give orders, they're happy to slack off. Zhou Chen is different. He genuinely has a sense of responsibility. Who do you plan to bring? Zhou Chen said, already preparing to call over those 5 bodyguards for her to choose from. Tang Xiaoman waved her hand. No need, you take them for training first. When Manager Zhang has gathered the remaining bodyguards, send someone to bring them over. You'll be in charge of all subsequent coordination. She was busy stockpiling supplies, and having a bodyguard around would be inconvenient. Zhou Chen gave her a deep look, nodded, and said nothing more. Tang Xiaoman went to the outdoor supply store again. This time, she stocked up on 10 large boxes of water purification tablets, 20 water purifiers, and 500 various filters. She also bought 10 outdoor diesel generators and 20 triangular bayonets. Additionally, she purchased 20 sets each of hiking boots, windproof jackets, and portable outdoor backpacks. After loading everything into the pickup truck bed, she headed to an outdoor water sports equipment store. Some items were temporarily out of stock yesterday, but the shop owner promised to arrange them from other sources. When Tang Xiaoman arrived, everything she needed was ready except for the escape pod she wanted. 10 small speedboats with cockpits, 10 high-power drones, 10 small drones, 20 sets of diving suits, and 50 oxygen tanks. Additionally, 50 bulletproof vests and 50 high-power walkie-talkies. Tang Xiaoman paid for them without bothering to haggle. Satisfied with the purchase, the shop owner was very excited. This was a genuine god of wealth standing before him. Apart from the 10 small motorboats that needed to be delivered to her doorstep, he helped load the rest of the items onto the pickup truck's cargo bed and slipped her a business card. The escape pods are made from special aerospace materials and are in limited supply. They require at least half a month's advance booking. I'll try to expedite it for you. Come back in 5 days to pick them up. Also, if you need anything else, feel free to contact me anytime. I'll definitely be able to get it for you. Tang Xiaoman drove back to the garage and stored all the supplies in her space. The 2-bedroom space was packed to the brim, nearly reaching the ceiling, with even the bathroom and kitchen almost completely filled. When those 10 small motorboats arrived, her space could no longer hold them. Tang Xiaoman realized she had to rent a storage area to unload some of the supplies. Only then could she free up space to continue hoarding. Chapter 11, I won't treat you unfairly. The diesel generators and chainsaws stored in Tang Xiaoman's space require large amounts of diesel fuel for operation. She drove to the gas station and learned after inquiry that individuals could purchase a maximum of 1 ton of diesel per transaction. After negotiations, Tang Xiaoman reached an agreement with the gas station manager to pay an additional 15,000 yuan per ton of diesel. The gas station provided specialized explosion-proof metal oil drums with dedicated outlets and equipped with fuel nozzles, making refueling extremely convenient. Tang Xiaoman added an extra 15,000 yuan per ton with great swagger, and the gas station felt they had scored a great deal, so the service was top-notch. Not only did they provide their own oil drums and a full set of fueling equipment and tools, but they also delivered everything right to her doorstep. Once the gas station staff had left, Tang Xiaoman found herself feeling a bit troubled. The available space was now less than 20 cubic meters, and the 2-bedroom apartment was already packed to the brim. Adding this 1-ton oil drum left absolutely no room to spare. The 10 small motorboats delivered by the specialty store had to be temporarily stored in the garage. Tang Xiaoman rearranged the space and barely managed to clear out a spot large enough to fit the big oil drum. After storing the oil drum in the space, she drove back to the club. Zhou Chen, along with 5 bodyguards and a German shepherd, was training vigorously in the open field. Tang Xiaoman didn't disturb them. Woof, Fu Bao was the first to spot his owner and wagged his tail excitedly. Tang Xiaoman waved at it, signaling it to keep quiet, then quickly slipped away. She went to the first floor and found a large storage room, where she took out the oil drums from her space and placed them on the ground. Then, she also took out items that occupied a lot of space, such as the assault boat, kayak, air pump, solar panel generator, diesel generator, snowmobile, crates of liquor, and crates of pet food cans. This instantly freed up large areas in both her space and living quarters, allowing her to stockpile even more supplies. Tang Xiaoman left the storage room and retrieved a lock from her space. As she turned around after locking the door, a tall figure suddenly appeared before her. Caught off guard, she nearly collided into the man's arms. "Ah," she exclaimed, barely resisting the urge to draw the triangular dagger she carried with her. "It's me," the man said in a deep, pleasant voice. Tang Xiaoman took a closer look and realized it was Zhou Chen. In the 4th year of the apocalypse, dangers lurked everywhere. She had been in a constant state of high alert, always on edge. Fu Bao darted out from the side, rubbing against her legs and wagging its tail energetically. It seemed Fu Bao had picked up her scent and led Zhou Chen here. Tang Xiaoman first glared at the silly dog, then turned to Zhou Chen with annoyance. "Why do you move like a ghost? You walk without making a sound." Zhou Chen glanced at the locked door and asked, "Need help moving stuff?" Tang Xiaoman initially wanted to refuse, but after a second thought, she changed her mind. "I want to stock up on diesel, gasoline, and gas cylinders. Pick 2 reliable guys to handle it separately. Buy 5 tons of diesel, 1 ton of gasoline, and 200 gas cylinders. Store them separately and keep it quiet. Don't let outsiders know." "Woof," Fu Bao responded enthusiastically, showing that it could help too. Zhou Chen was astonished. 5 tons of diesel, 1 ton of gasoline, 200 gas cylinders. These were all highly flammable and explosive hazardous materials. Yet she had bought so much. Buy in small quantities and store in bulk. Keep everything on the first floor, so there's no need to worry about the floor collapsing. As for the storage rooms, you and your team can partition a few simple suites using composite boards. The key is to make the doors sturdy. Tang Xiaoman took out her phone and transferred 1 million yuan to Zhou Chen's account using mobile banking. She looked up, patted him on the shoulder, and said with a smile, "Work hard. And I won't let you down." Woof, Fu Bao came over, also seeking encouragement. Tang Xiaoman casually patted the dog's head, though her attitude and tone were slightly perfunctory. "Be good and listen to Captain Zhou, and I won't let you down either." Zhou Chen, asterisk. Tang Xiaoman drove out, originally planning to go to the department store to stock up on supplies. She glanced at her phone. Today was July 8th. Tang Xiaoman's pupils contracted as she thought of something. The car turned around and sped off in the direction of Tianlai Villa. She hoped it wasn't too late. Asterisk. Sunshine Castle Kindergarten is the internal preschool of Melody Villa, exclusively accepting children from the villa community. Despite the high tuition fees, the kindergarten boasts excellent security and is conveniently located within the villa area, making it the top choice for all residents. Over time, not only did the residents' children attend Sunshine Castle, but even the children of their housekeepers, family doctors, and bodyguards were enrolled. No one could have anticipated that on July 8th, a knife-wielding intruder would storm the kindergarten, resulting in a bloody incident where children were taken hostage and harmed. Shanshan tragically lost her life on that day. Shanshan is Lu Jingming's daughter, and Lu Jingming is Gu Heng's personal physician. In her previous life, Tang Xiaoman owed Lu Jingming a favor, and in this life, she repays him. Asterisk. Tang Xiaoman drove the pickup truck at full speed and quickly ascended to the Tianlai Villa. The car showed no signs of slowing down, blaring a sharp horn as it charged straight toward Sunshine Castle Kindergarten. A masked bandit, clad in black and wielding a sharp knife, was holding several children hostage, preparing to flee in the vehicle. A preschool teacher lay on the ground, blood snaking out from beneath her, a horrifying sight. "Anyone tired of living? Just step forward. I'll make sure the knife goes in white and comes out red," the bandit roared, brandishing his blade wildly. The kindergarten was in chaos, with children's wails shaking the heavens, the teachers' faces pale with fear, and the security guard cowering in his booth. not daring to make a sound. Several thugs were trying to stuff the abducted children into a car when a little girl suddenly opened her mouth and sank her teeth fiercely into the large hand gripping her. Damn it. The thug hadn't expected a child's teeth to be so sharp and shook his hand in pain. The little girl was flung away and landed heavily on the ground. She pouted her little mouth but bravely held back her tears, getting up to run. You little bastard, I'll kill you. The bitten bandit, enraged, brandished a knife and chased after her. In her previous life, Shan had been stabbed to death by the bandit's wild slashes at this very moment. Stop! Tang Xiaoman slammed on the brakes, rolled down the window, and pulled out a nail gun from her space. The bandit looked up at the sound, only to suddenly feel a sharp pain in his eyes and collapse with a scream. Tang Xiaoman pushed open the car door and hurried toward Shan, who had fallen to the ground. Shan lifted her little head, her eyes wide open. Sister Xiaoman. Before Tang Xiaoman could pick up Shan, two more bandits lunged at them. They were all strong and fierce, exuding a murderous aura, raising their sharp knives, ready to turn the woman who had suddenly appeared into a sieve. Tang Xiaoman swiftly pulled the trigger of the nail gun repeatedly. Her marksmanship and knife skills were honed over 4 years in the apocalypse. To say she never missed her target was no exaggeration. Two bandits screamed, clutching their eyes as blood streamed through their fingers, only making them even more ferocious. The wounded bandit was ready to go on a killing spree. 1 kill would break even, 2 would be a bonus. After all, they were a bunch of desperate outlaws with nothing left to lose. Seeing that the kidnapped children were about to be harmed, Tang Xiaoman decisively dropped her nail gun and drew the military knife she carried with her. She charged forward, taking on 3 enemies at once. Determined not to give these bandits any chance to harm the children. Run, Shanshan. Take your friends and get as far away as you can, Tang Xiaoman shouted to Shanshan while fighting off 3 injured bandits. Shanshan scrambled to her feet and called out to her friends, everyone, follow me and run. Chapter 12. Are you planning to open a private hospital? The kidnapped children, crying as they ran, followed closely behind Shanshan. A bold kindergarten teacher stepped forward to help, but Shanshan turned her head to look at Tang Xiaoman, who was struggling with the criminals. The teachers rescued the child and quickly retreated to the classroom with Shanshan, locking the door behind them. Sister Xiaoman. Shanshan pounded on the glass, crying in distress. It was Sister Xiaoman who had saved her, yet she could only watch helplessly as those vicious thugs surrounded and beat her. Soon, her eyes widened in amazement. Wow, Sister Xiaoman is so amazing. By the time the police arrived, Tang Xiaoman had already subdued 3 of the robbers. The ambulance arrived shortly after. Taking the injured kindergarten teacher to the hospital, 2 police officers stepped forward and handcuffed the half-dead criminal, while another officer approached Tang Xiaoman and asked, "What's your identity?" Before he could finish, he stared at her in surprise. "Why is it you again?" Tang Xiaoman took a closer look and felt the young officer looked somewhat familiar. After a moment's thought, she realized he was one of the officers who had responded to the call the day before yesterday. The young officer cast an admiring glance at her. This sister took on a Tibetan Mastiff single-handedly the day before yesterday, and today she fought 3 criminals alone. She's absolutely fierce. Not only were the police shocked, but the property owners who rushed to the scene upon hearing the news were also stunned. Tang Xiaoman once again reported her identity information to the young police officer, causing the surrounding property owners to erupt in excitement. Among them, several recognized Tang Xiaoman as the one who had fought the Tibetan Mastiff the day before yesterday, and they couldn't help but whisper among themselves, "Isn't this the daughter who was kicked out by the Su family? She's so skilled. It was her who saved the kindergarten children. Who knows what might have happened otherwise?" The kindergarten principal and teachers, along with the children, expressed their gratitude to Tang Xiaoman in unison. And Shan excitedly threw herself into her arms. Sister Xiaoman. Just as Tang Xiaoman was about to pick her up to comfort her, she saw Lu Jingming had arrived. Shanshan. Lu Jingming hurried over and scooped up his daughter in his arms. He quickly checked his daughter and, finding she wasn't injured, finally let out a sigh of relief. "Daddy, it was Sister Xiaoman who saved me," Shanshan said. Lu Jingming held his daughter in his arms and gratefully thanked Tang Xiaoman. "Miss Tang. Thank you so much." Tang Xiaoman smiled slightly. Shanshan remained calm in the face of danger. She led the children to escape the danger zone in time. She's a smart and brave little girl, praised. Shanshan revealed an innocent and radiant smile. A police officer approached and asked, "Miss Tang, why do you carry a nail gun and a military knife with you?" Tang Xiaoman remained completely calm and replied, "My house is undergoing renovations, so I bought a nail gun for backup. As for the military knife, I carry it for self-defense. The day before yesterday, I was attacked by a Tibetan Mastiff in the villa area, and if it weren't for a kind-hearted person stepping in to help, I might have lost my life to that dog. If you don't believe me, you can ask this officer here." She pointed at the young police officer who had responded to the incident the day before yesterday. The young officer corroborated her story. "I was also the one on duty the day before yesterday. Someone deliberately set a Tibetan Mastiff on her and even attacked her with a switchblade and a handgun. The assailant attempted murder, and she acted in self-defense. After experiencing such danger, it was only natural for Tang Xiaoman to carry some self-defense tools with her." The officer nodded and said to her, "Miss Tang risked her life to save the kindergarten children, which counts as an act of bravery. Once the case is settled, the government will award you a bravery bonus." Tang Xiaoman waved her hand, downplaying her heroism. "No need, I just did what I should. If the bonus must be awarded, please donate it to those who need it more." The kindergarten director led the teachers in applause. The children clapped too, and the onlooking residents joined in the applause. From then on, Tang Xiaoman became the celebrated heroine of Tianlai Villa. Lu Jingming specially invited Tang Xiaoman to dinner as a gesture of gratitude. Tang Xiaoman thought it over and agreed. The three of them went to an upscale Western restaurant, where Lu Jingming let Tang Xiaoman order the dishes. Tang Xiaoman ordered charcoal grilled steak, cheese tamagoyaki, and fresh shrimp toast rolls, along with a mixed vegetable platter and a cup of Blue Mountain coffee. She wanted to be a bit more reserved, but after surviving the apocalypse, she couldn't help but lose control at the sight of delicious food. Lu Jingming and Shanshan also placed their orders. He got a latte, while his daughter had a freshly squeezed orange juice. "Miss Tang, I truly can't thank you enough for saving Shanshan." Lu Jingming expressed his gratitude solemnly once more and earnestly added, "If there's anything you need help with, just say the word, and I'll do everything in my power to assist." Tang Xiaoman smiled slightly and said, "What a coincidence, I actually have a favor to ask of Dr. Lu." Lu Jingming was taken aback for a moment but still replied candidly, "Of course, Miss Tang, please go ahead. You've been in the medical field for many years, so you must know many pharmaceutical representatives. Could you help me obtain a batch of medicine?" Tang Xiaoman seized the opportunity and naturally wouldn't let it slip by. Lu Jingming was originally a surgeon at a state-owned enterprise but was later poached by Gu Heng to become a private doctor. Both Tang Xiaoman and he worked for Gu Heng, so they became familiar with each other's faces. Lu Jingming lost his wife and had to play both father and mother roles, often bringing his daughter along with him. Sometimes Tang Xiaoman would help him take care of the child, and over time, Shan became quite familiar with Tang Xiaoman. On this day in the previous life, Shan was killed by a criminal at the kindergarten. Lu Jingming was deeply devastated, his hair turning white overnight, in the 4th year of the apocalypse, because he refused to remove Tang Xiaoman's kidney for transplantation to Su Rou. He faced retaliation from Gu Heng. He was driven out of the base and killed by thugs. Tang Xiaoman owed him a favor, and since she also liked Shan very much, she decided to step in and help today. Originally, she hadn't planned to ask for anything in return, but since she had access to Lu Jingming's network of connections, she might as well make use of it. She would also share a portion of the medicine she had stockpiled with him when the time came. He is a doctor, and in the apocalypse, these life-saving supplies would definitely be needed. Lu Jingming nodded and agreed, "No problem." Tang Xiaoman immediately pulled out a thick notebook from her bag and handed it to him. "This is the list of medical equipment and medicines I need. Prepare them according to the quantities marked at the back." Lu Jingming took it and flipped through a few pages, stunned by the densely packed medical equipment and the variety of medicines and vaccines listed. Not only is there a complete set of surgical instruments, but even including an oxygen generator, shadowless lamp, stethoscope, blood pressure monitor, and glucose meter, there are also various disposable medical supplies. as well as instruments for routine examinations and treatments. The variety of medicines and vaccines is astonishing, especially the different types of condoms. There are actually up to 20 boxes. He raised his head and looked at Tang Xiaoman with a completely different expression. Are you planning to open a private hospital? Chapter 13. Breaking off the engagement. Tang Xiaoman smiled and calmly fabricated another friend story. I have a friend who plans to open a private clinic and asked me to help him acquire a batch of standard medical equipment, medicines, and vaccines. After a pause, she asked again, there's nothing prohibited in this list, right? Lu Jingming steadied himself, reviewed the list once more, and then replied, no, there isn't. Will Dr. Lu be willing to help? Tang Xiaoman pressed her advantage while the iron was hot. Upon receiving Lu Jingming's affirmative reply, she immediately transferred a 5 million yuan deposit into his account, with the balance to be paid once he confirmed the prices of all the medications. My friend is in a hurry, so I'd appreciate it if you could expedite the process. Dr. Lu. After lunch, the three bid farewell at the restaurant entrance. Goodbye, Sister Xiaoman. Shen waved at Tang Xiaoman with a sweet smile. Tang Xiaoman gently patted her little head and whispered, take care, sweetheart. Lu Jingming sensed something unusual about her, but she had saved his precious daughter, and he truly owed her an enormous favor. He said sincerely, thank you, I'll finish what you asked me to do as soon as possible. Tang Xiaoman waved goodbye to the father and daughter and got into her car. She started the car again, this time heading straight to the electronics mall. Tang Xiaoman entered the electronics mall and began another frenzied shopping spree. 10 large storage freezers, 5 battery-powered medical refrigerators, and 10 car refrigerators, 20 small sun heaters and 20 air conditioning fans. These two types of appliances are used to cope with the extreme cold of polar nights and the extreme heat of polar days. 20 business laptops of various brands, 50 high-capacity mobile phones of various brands, 20 tablets, 20 miniature voice recorders, 10 high-capacity hard drives, and 50 USB flash drives. As the apocalypse begins, each year becomes more dangerous and difficult, with the industrial system almost completely collapsing. Even if a few factories remain operational, the prices of their products are exorbitantly high. These electronic products will soon become almost non-renewable resources. Tang Xiaoman left an address and asked the salesperson to deliver the large freezer, battery-powered medicine refrigerator, car fridge, small sun heater, and air conditioning fan, all particularly bulky appliances, to the club. The rest of the electronic products were then carried into her car with the help of others. She closed the privacy window glass and, with a wave, stored all the electronic products in the car into her space. Tang Xiaoman then drove to the department store to replenish her stock of daily necessities, clothing, hats, and bags. Tang Xiaoman bought 4-season women's clothing, skirts, shoes, hats, scarves, and bags. After all, she is a girl with an innate love for beauty. Even though she knew the chances of wearing these beautiful dresses in the apocalypse were slim, she couldn't resist stocking up on some for herself. Life should have some hopes and dreams, otherwise, what's the point of living? Tang Xiaoman tipped the salesperson and had them help carry all the packaging boxes and bags to her car. She closed the privacy-tinted car windows tightly again and stored everything in her space. Tang Xiaoman got out of the car, this time taking the elevator directly to the floor, specializing in down jackets, 10 down jackets of various styles, 10 down pants, and 10 down vests. Additionally, there were 10 sets of thermal underwear, 100 sets of 4-season pajamas, 100 sets of underwear in various styles and materials, and 1,000 pairs of underpants. Tang Xiaoman had stocked up on everything she might need for the rest of her life. She added a small tip and once again asked the clerk to help carry the items to her car. After the clerk left, she stored everything in the car into her space. Tang Xiaoman got out of the car again and noticed that it was already dark outside. The aroma of food wafted through the air, stirring the hunger pangs in her stomach. After 4 years in the apocalypse, her obsession with food ran too deep. Tang Xiaoman decisively paused her stockpiling plan and went to satisfy her growling stomach first. Tang Xiaoman arrived at the specialty roasted duck shop and bought a freshly roasted duck to sit down and eat. She ate until her mouth was glistening with oil. Utterly satisfied, "Boss, bring me another 100 freshly roasted ducks," Tang Xiaoman called out. The boss thought he must have misheard. 100. Tang Xiaoman glanced at the oven and had no choice but to say, "I'll take whatever you have." After she finished eating, the owner packed up 30 roast ducks for her. "This is peak hours, and we don't have time to roast more. If you want, you can place an order in advance." The owner handed her a business card. Tang Xiaoman took the card and added the owner on WeChat. "I'll order 100 for tomorrow noon and come pick them up." The boss had the shop assistant help load 30 packaged roast ducks into Tang Xiaoman's car trunk. Tang Xiaoman closed the car window and, as usual, stored all the roast ducks in her space. The space not only preserves freshness but also maintains temperature. No matter how much time passes, the food remains at the same temperature as when it was first stored. Tang Xiaoman loves eating roast duck, so she plans to stock up on more. With her stomach full, she was about to continue her shopping spree when she received a text from an unfamiliar number. She picked up her phone and glanced at it, only to be amused and annoyed once again. "Tang Xiaoman, I want to break off our engagement." It was from Gu Heng. "It seems he's throwing a tantrum out of humiliation." Tang Xiaoman recalled how in her past life, Gu Heng had constantly used their engagement to manipulate her, making empty promises and exploiting her until she had nothing left to give, ultimately leading to her death. This time around, he actually took the initiative to propose breaking off the engagement. "It seems he's run out of tricks to control her." Tang Xiaoman typed a reply and sent it. "Sure. The marriage must indeed be called off, but the deep-seated enmity between her and him cannot be resolved simply by breaking off the engagement. It's a fight to the death." Gu Heng didn't want to lose face in front of the Su family, and proposing to break off the engagement with Tang Xiaoman was also a way to force her to make concessions. He still firmly believed that Tang Xiaoman was doing all these things just to get his attention. In the end, she was merely trying to compete with Su Rou for his affection. She wasn't even worthy of competing with Rower for his affection, but he never expected that when he proposed to break off the engagement, Tang Xiaoman would reply without the slightest hesitation, "Sure." Gu Heng's face instantly darkened. Su Rou was still lying weakly on the bed, asking with concern, "Is sister still giving you the cold shoulder?" Gu Heng hit his phone and said nonchalantly, "I've already hired a private investigator to track her down. Once we have her location, I'll send some men to capture her. From then on, she'll serve as your personal blood bank and spare organ supply." A glint of cunning flashed through Su Rou's watery eyes. Yet she murmured, "Isn't treating sister this way too cruel? Anyway, I've already broken off the engagement with her. This is her only remaining use." Gu Heng gritted his teeth viciously. Su Ku, wrapped up like a zongzi, sat on the nearby sofa and couldn't help but speak up. "Tang Xiaoman is very skilled in martial arts. She can take on a Tibetan mastiff single-handedly. Brother Aheng, you'll need to assign several highly skilled bodyguards to subdue her." Gu Heng, however, dismissed the concern. Last time, it was Xu Jia's incompetence that let her escape. This time, she won't get the chance to run or call the police. Let's see what trick she has left. Just then, the private detective called. Gu Heng said smugly, "We've got news." He deliberately put the call on speakerphone. "President Gu, we've located Tang Xiaoman. This morning at Tianlai Tianzhuang, she single-handedly took down 3 intruders who broke into a kindergarten, injuring all 3. The police even commended her for it. Among the children she saved was the daughter of your family doctor, Lu Jingming. The father and daughter even treated her to lunch afterward." Gu Heng was surprised upon hearing this. Single-handedly took down 3. Su Ku couldn't help muttering, "I told you she was really skilled, but you didn't believe me." Gu Heng commanded with a dark expression, "Keep a close eye on her and find out where she's staying tonight." Su Rou's eyes flickered with thought. After Gu Heng hung up the phone, she spoke softly, "Lu Jingming is your family doctor, and Tang Xiaoman saved his daughter. Is this an attempt to win people over?" Chapter 14. Shutting the door to beat the dog. Su Rou's reminder immediately put Gu Heng on high alert. After some thought, he decided, first, give Lu Jingming a few days off. Once the people I've sent have control over Tang Xiaoman, then we'll decide whether to fire him or not. Tang Xiaoman filled her stomach and then headed to the department store to continue her shopping spree. This time, she bought all kinds of skincare products, shampoo, body wash, handmade soap, facial cleanser, soap, laundry detergent, toothpaste, toothbrushes, and various brands and types of sanitary pads. She also picked up serums, lotions, creams, night creams, hand creams, luxury face masks, and more. Because she had bought too much, she tipped the clerk as usual to help carry the items to the car. Tang Xiaoman closed the car window and prepared to store everything in her space. Out of habit, she glanced warily at the rearview mirror and caught a glimpse of a fleeting figure, having experienced being followed and ambushed before. She quickly considered the possibility. It seems Gu Heng's wicked intentions persist, even after involving Xu Jia. He refuses to let go. Tang Xiaoman sneered and drove out of the underground parking lot. Sure enough, a van was closely following behind. Pretending not to notice, Tang Xiaoman drove straight to the club. She stopped the car and called Zhou Chen. There are thugs following me with ill intentions. Get the guys ready. We're going to shut the door and beat the dog. Tang Xiaoman entered the closed club, and the suspicious men followed her in. Seeing the place deserted and silent, they immediately moved to assault her, but the moment they reached out to cover her mouth, over a dozen men rushed out from all sides, pinned them down, and gave them a brutal beating. The bodyguards, eager to prove themselves just after joining, were particularly ruthless in their actions. Those men were beaten badly, crying and begging for mercy. Only then did Tang Xiaoman wave her hand, signaling them to stop. Who sent you? She asked. Those guys were beaten so badly their souls nearly left their bodies. They wanted to keep their mouths shut, but then a dog suddenly charged out, scaring them into screaming their heads off. The vicious dog bared its fangs under the light, snarling as if ready to tear a chunk of flesh from them. Several people immediately backed down. It was Mr. Gu who sent us. Someone from the police station came, and coincidentally, it was that young officer again. He widened his eyes in surprise. Why is it you again? Tang Xiaoman said with a smile. It seems our connection is quite special. The young officer, Tang Xiaoman, noted his badge number 653,973. Meeting 3 times in a row was truly fate. Zhou Chen provided surveillance footage proving these individuals had been following Tang Xiaoman with the intent to kidnap her. The officer in charge, however, seemed skeptical, glancing at the dozen or so bodyguards, both men and women. He asked, "Who are you people, and what are you doing here?" Tang Xiaoman stepped forward to answer, "Because Gu Heng keeps hiring people to kidnap me. Su Ku even set dogs on me and threatened me with guns and knives. So I hired more bodyguards to protect myself." The reasoning is solid and holds water. She pressed further. Are Su Ku and Gu Heng still detained at the holding facility? How is Gu Heng still causing trouble from there? The officer responded somewhat awkwardly. Well, I'll have to check the records before I can give you an answer. In truth, he knew very well that Su Ku had already been released on medical parole, and Gu Heng had been bailed out. Now only the unfortunate assistant Xu Jia remained in custody. I never expected Gu Heng to be so audacious. Even after being bailed out, he still refuses to behave and dares to continue committing crimes despite the crackdown. This time, no one can save him. Seeing the officer in a hurry to leave, Tang Xiaoman refused to let it go. Officer, I'd like to ask about the status of those who harmed me. Can I contact you later? She took out her phone, indicating she wanted to keep his contact information. The officer looked somewhat nervous and said, I'm quite busy. You can ask someone else for information. Tang Xiaoman pointed at the young policeman and asked, Can I ask 653,973 for details? Sure. The officer patted the young policeman on the shoulder, then directed the officers to load the criminals into the police van. Officer, can I get your contact info? Tang Xiaoman stopped the young policeman. The young policeman, seeing that the officer and his teammates had all left, had no choice but to obediently leave his phone number before he could get away. Your reward for bravery is under review, and the results should be out within a week. The young policeman told her some good news as he got into the car. Tang Xiaoman wasn't so easily dismissed. Remember to help me find out what happened to Gu Heng, Su Ku, and Xu Jia, those 3 who tried to harm me. The police car sped away with its siren blaring. Tang Xiaoman was certain that Gu Heng was truly in trouble this time. He had underestimated his opponent twice in a row. Served him right to take a fall. the bodyguards had done well in protecting their employer. After reviewing the surveillance footage, Tang Xiaoman praised each of them in turn. Woof, Fu Bao indicated that he also deserved some credit. Tang Xiaoman patted the dog's head and pulled out a steaming roasted duck leg from her bag, after rewarding the dog. She counted the bodyguards and was somewhat surprised. "We've already gathered 10, Zhou Chen replied. Manager Zhang sent 4 more bodyguards and promised the rest would be found within 3 days. Tang Xiaoman noticed 3 women among the 4 newly assigned bodyguards, and her lips twitched slightly. It seems Manager Zhang has stopped being picky about gender just to fill the positions. Well, female bodyguards it is then. Although female bodyguards might be slightly less formidable in combat, they can stay as long as they're skilled enough. Besides, there are some things that would be more convenient for her to have the female bodyguard handle. Tang Xiaoman's dormitory is on the 3rd floor. The furniture is somewhat simple, but the bedding is all pure cotton, and the bathroom is fully stocked with brand new towels, bath towels, and bathrobes, toothpaste, toothbrushes, face towels, and mouthwash cups, all unopened, are provided, leaving nothing to be desired. Tang Xiaoman was very satisfied with Zhou Chen's ability to handle tasks. He truly didn't let her down. She had mentioned a short-term rental of half a month, so the furniture he bought was very simple, but for her bedding, he opted for a high-quality cotton brand. As for her daily necessities, he also purchased genuine, well-known brands. A smart and considerate man, and what's more, his skills were impressive. Tang Xiaoman felt she had struck gold. While Tang Xiaoman was sleeping, she transferred 100,000 yuan to Zhou Chen, noting it as bonus. Before she could even turn off the light, Zhou Chen transferred the money back. "I just started working, no need to rush with the bonus," Zhou Chen replied. "Tisk, what an honest kid." Tang Xiaoman didn't argue with him either and asked, "Where's Fu Bao?" "In my dorm." After a brief pause, he asked, "Should I bring it to you?" "No need. You can keep Fu Bao for now." Tang Xiaoman was quite satisfied with his arrangement. "Your job is to train it into a high-level combat hound. I have more important matters to attend to. Turn off the phone, lights out, and go to sleep." Tang Xiaoman slept soundly, but someone was destined to stay awake all night. The people Gu Hing sent to kidnap Tang Xiaoman were all caught, and they implicated him, so he ended up in jail again. Gu Hing, who was back in jail for the 2nd time, had his crimes compounded, and this time he was really in for it. The Gu family was in an uproar, and so was the Su family, but no matter what methods they tried, they couldn't get Gu Hing out on bail again. They mobilized the entire network of connections from both families, throwing money around like snowflakes, and after 2 full days of frantic efforts, they finally got a hint from the higher-ups. They needed the victim to sign a letter of forgiveness before bail could be granted. Chapter 15. The money wasn't all spent. Tang Xiaoman stocked up on another 100 freshly roasted ducks. She continued shopping while strolling through the streets, fried chicken shops, milk tea shops, dessert shops. She visited every store on the entire street, hoarding all kinds of delicious flavors. Every time she stepped out of a shop, she carried freshly made food and drinks in her hands, stuffing them all into the car before rolling up the windows and storing everything away in her space. Tang Xiaoman's only regret was the limited space. All food, medicine, drinks, anything with an expiration date had to be stored in the space, which could both preserve freshness and maintain temperature. As for those bulky and cumbersome items, she had already unloaded them all into the club's storage room, waiting to move them back after the villa's renovation was completed. To free up a little more space, she transformed into a master of organization, packing everything tightly. No matter how hard she tried to compress the space, there was still less than 5 cubic meters left. Just then, Lu Jingming called. "The medical equipment, medicines, vaccines, and contraceptives you requested have all been finalized. They can be shipped once the final payment is made." Although it was good news, Tang Xiaoman's face still fell. "Ugh, I wonder if the remaining 5 cubic meters of space will be enough to fit all the medicines and vaccines." Fortunately, those numerous medical devices don't take up space and can be directly stored in rooms without refrigeration. Although the living space is also limited, if necessary, they can be temporarily moved to the club's storage room. Additionally, sealed alcohol, canned goods, and cigarettes can also be temporarily cleared out. In short, priority should be given to storing medicines, fresh food, hot drinks, and other survival supplies that require refrigeration or warmth. She pondered these questions in her mind, but her mouth responded quickly, "All right, send me the amount for the final payment, and I'll transfer it to you right away." After expressing her thanks, she hung up the phone. Following the amount sent by Lu Jingming, she completed the transfer and let out a soft sigh of relief. With the medical equipment sorted out, the most crucial part of her stockpiling plan was finally accomplished. She was just about to enjoy a delicious meal to celebrate this phase of victory when another unfamiliar number called in. Tang Xiaoman found it utterly annoying. She didn't need to guess to know it was either the Gu or Su family calling. Gu Heng was in trouble this time. Big trouble. The Gu and Su families had exhausted every possible method but still couldn't get him released on bail again. Now, they were relentlessly harassing Tang Xiaoman, trying to pressure her into signing a letter of forgiveness. Tang Xiaoman couldn't be bothered to waste her breath and time on them, so she simply hung up and blocked the number. But the endless stream of harassing calls was truly driving her up the wall. In the end, Tang Xiaoman went to the service center to get a new SIM card and removed the old one. She sent a mass text to the people she needed to stay in touch with, informing them of her new number. Now only they could reach her, at last. Tang Xiaoman's world was finally quiet. She wandered through the food street, dazzled by the billboards advertising each restaurant's signature dishes. There was no way she could finish it all. Simply impossible, and aside from the 5 cubic meters reserved for medicine and vaccines in her space, there wasn't even room left for a single plate of food. Tears streamed down her face, filled with immense regret. Tang Xiaoman ate to her heart's content, letting out a satisfied burp after the hearty meal. Alas, once the apocalypse begins, she would never be able to enjoy such abundant delicacies again. Glancing at the time, only 7:30 in the evening, she wasn't in a hurry to return to the club and continued strolling around. She pushed open the glass door and walked into a jewelry store, only to stop in her tracks belatedly. What was she doing here? After the apocalypse began, not only did paper money rapidly depreciate, but the antique and art market also collapsed, followed by jewelry becoming worthless. When merely surviving the apocalypse is a struggle, who would still have the mood to wear such things? But Tang Xiaoman was indeed drawn in by that dazzling display of jewelry. Women are easily captivated by these glittering trinkets, and she was no exception. The apocalypse is harsh. Who says there can't be a touch of dreamy romance? Anyway, she wasn't short on money now. If she liked it, she'd buy it. Tang Xiaoman dashed in and out of various jewelry stores and gold shops, spending 5 to 6 million in one go. Fearing thieves might target her, she would return to her car after each purchase and store the items in her space. Amidst the hustle, she didn't notice that the jade bracelet on her wrist had become more translucent and lustrous. After splurging nearly 10 million on gold, silver, jewelry, and jade ornaments, she finally felt satisfied. Tang Xiaoman glanced at the balance on the card. There was still over 60 million left. The final payment for the renovation of Tianlai Villa would cost around 5 million, and the 4 premium safety pods and 20 oxygen packs she had ordered would require another 2 million or so. As for the bodyguards' salaries, she would first pay those who were being let go, followed by the first month's wages for the remaining ones. Once the apocalypse began, what they would need wouldn't be cash, but all kinds of survival supplies. Most of the supplies she stockpiled were for her own needs, while the supplies for her teammates were left to Zhou Chen to arrange. As long as the money is received, Zhou Chen should handle the matter exceptionally well. Tang Xiaoman glanced at the remaining large balance, feeling somewhat helpless like a hero with no place to display his prowess. Tang Xiaoman returned to the club, where Zhou Chen had already led the team in repelling another wave of attacks. "Miss Tang, members of the Gu and Su families came several times to provoke trouble, but we've already driven them out." Zhou Chen reported the day's battle situation to her. Woof, Fu Bao stood tall with pride. Zhou Chen had no choice but to add, "Fu Bao performed excellently and has already been rewarded with a chicken drumstick." Tang Xiaoman was very satisfied and praised, "You all performed well." She glanced at the neatly lined-up bodyguards and noticed the number had increased again. After counting, including Zhou Chen, there were now 16 bodyguards, fully staffed. But, why were 4 out of the 5 newly assigned bodyguards women? It seems Manager Zhang first tentatively assigned 3 female bodyguards, and seeing Tang Xiaoman didn't object, he then sent over 4 more. Employers generally prefer male bodyguards, so female bodyguards typically earn less than their male counterparts. The reason is simple. Female bodyguards generally have lower physical strength and offensive capabilities compared to male bodyguards. Tang Xiaoman treats all equally in terms of salary, so Manager Zhang filling the quota with 7 female bodyguards was quite a bargain for him. After all, the contract only specifies a lone individual, without specifying gender. The main reason was that male bodyguards who fit the lone individual description were hard to find. So Manager Zhang simply settled for the often overlooked female bodyguards to make up the numbers. Tang Xiaoman didn't express dissatisfaction. She immediately assigned numbers to the bodyguards on the spot. Except for Zhou Chen, the 15 bodyguards were numbered from 01 to 15 based on their weight. At the front of the line were undoubtedly burly, muscular men, while those at the back were all female bodyguards. Today, we'll assign numbers based on weight for now. In 5 days, there will be an assessment, and you'll be renumbered according to your actual skills. The bottom 5 will be eliminated, Tang Xiaoman said, scrutinizing each of the 15 bodyguards before her gaze settled on No. 01. No. 01 felt somewhat uneasy under her stare and asked nervously, "Is there something wrong, Miss Tang?" Tang Xiaoman replied in surprise, Your chest is bigger than all the female bodyguards." Chapter 16, Expanded Space. Tang Xiaoman swore she didn't mean anything else by it. Whether men or women, those with larger chests tend to be more attractive. She was simply expressing pure appreciation and admiration, nothing more. The most muscular 01 immediately flushed red, momentarily at a loss for words. The other quick-witted bodyguards soon caught on. So the boss likes bodyguards with big chests, not to be outdone. 02 promptly took off his shirt, confidently displaying his well-defined muscles. "Miss Tang, my pecs are quite large too." He even performed a few standard bodybuilding poses, showcasing his developed muscles from multiple angles, clearly very confident in his physique. A single stone stirs up 1,000 waves, and several bodyguards began to strike poses, not forgetting to cast flirtatious glances at Tang Xiaoman. Seeing the male bodyguards showing off one after another, the female bodyguards, unable to take off their tops, grew anxious. A salary of 200,000 in the first month, and the chance to double that massive paycheck every month, they couldn't afford to be outdone, because being outdone meant being eliminated. "Miss Tang, take a closer look, I'm actually quite well endowed too." A female bodyguard blushed and puffed out her chest. Tang Xiaoman was utterly bewildered. Good heavens, there must be some misunderstanding here. She instinctively glanced at Zhou Chen's reaction beside her. Zhou Chen's lips twitched slightly, and the look he gave Tang Xiaoman was somewhat indescribable. "Tang Xiaoman, forget it, no need to explain. Anyway, the apocalypse is coming soon. Who cares about reputation now? It can't be eaten as a meal." Tang Xiaoman went to the dormitory to rest but was stopped by Zhou Chen. "Miss Tang, the diesel, gasoline, and gas cylinders you asked me to stockpile have all been completed." Tang Xiaoman's eyes lit up. Thoroughly pleased with his impressive performance, "I trust you to get things done. He really is quite useful." Zhou Chen couldn't help but remind her, stockpiling this much fuel is dangerous and violates safety regulations. Safety regulations only matter when safety can actually be guaranteed. Tang Xiaoman sighed, lowering her voice as she half-jokingly revealed, "I have connections up top. Rumor has it the world won't be safe for much longer. Stocking up on diesel will pay off." Zhou Chen, Tang Xiaoman once again detected a complicated expression in his gaze, but he never hesitated to carry out any of her commands. "Oh well, he's not a robot after all. Who doesn't have their little moods? Let him question if he wants to. After all, she's his boss, and he has to listen to her." Tang Xiaoman returned to the dormitory and first took a hot shower. She came out wrapped in a towel and dried her hair, feeling a bit thirsty. She took out a glass of lemon water from her space and drank half of it. Having space is really convenient, though it's a pity the volume is limited. Tang Xiaoman tried to maintain a balanced mindset about this. One can't have all the advantages, and she should be content. fresh out of the shower and not feeling sleepy. She used her consciousness to rummage through the room and the space for the gold, silver, jewelry, and jade ornaments she had spent millions on, wanting to pick a few to try on. But no matter how thoroughly she searched the entire room and even combed through all the space, there was no trace of those jewels. Tang Xiaoman was certain she had stored all the jewelry in her space. There was absolutely no mistake. She entered the space and searched through it several more times, but still found nothing. She couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Had the space actually swallowed the jewelry? Tang Xiaoman stood frozen for a few minutes before finally realizing something was amiss. The countdown in the space has extended to 1.5 hours, meaning she now has an extra half hour to spend in the space each day. The virtual screen displayed the living area as 84 square meters, an increase of 4 square meters from before. The volume of the space also expanded by 30 cubic meters. Tang Xiaoman's eyes widened in astonishment, followed by overwhelming joy. The space had grown. The space only expanded in area and volume after consuming the gold, silver, jewelry, and jade ornaments she had bought. This indicated that as long as she continued to feed it such valuables, it would keep expanding. Tang Xiaoman finally figured out how to spend the balance in her account. What was once a regret due to limited space has now found a solution. Only then did Tang Xiaoman notice that the jade bracelet on her wrist had become more translucent, its quality seemingly improved. She was so excited that all drowsiness vanished. Itching to rush to the gold and silver shops and jewelry stores to buy everything inside, but at this hour, gold shops, silver stores, and jewelry stores had already closed. If she really went to bang on their doors, she might be mistaken for a robber. She took several deep breaths, trying to calm her agitated emotions, but she simply couldn't fall asleep. How could this be? In the middle of the night, Tang Xiaoman knocked on Zhou Yichen's dormitory door. Zhou Yichen had probably already gone to bed when he heard the knocking and asked, "Who is it?" "It's me," Tang Xiaoman replied. A moment later, Zhou Yichen, now dressed, opened the door. He was fully clothed, with even his collar buttoned up tightly. Tang Xiaoman, she couldn't help but feel he was treating her like some kind of thief. "Miss Tang, did you need something from me?" Zhou Yichen's deep gaze carried a hint of wariness as he maintained a safe distance between them. Tang Xiaoman pouted and snorted, "Come closer, I'm not going to eat you." Oh, so he's treating her like some kind of lustful woman. Zhou Yichen remained neither humble nor pushy, speaking in a formal tone. "Miss Tang, if you have any instructions, please feel free to say them. I can hear you." After a pause, he added, "I can read lips." Tang Xiaoman was speechless. She glared at him and commanded bluntly, "Tonight, you're working overtime." Zhou Yichen accompanied the boss to the temporary storage room for diesel fuel. This was a simple warehouse he had led several bodyguards to construct using composite wooden panels, storing a total of 5 tons of diesel and 1 ton of gasoline. 200 gas canisters were kept in 3 other storage rooms. Tang Xiaoman had stored 1 ton of diesel fuel herself. After the apocalypse began, power shortages became a long-term issue that needed to be overcome. Solar panels face aging problems and are unusable during polar nights. Kinetic energy generation is too physically demanding and time-consuming. Only diesel generators are relatively simple and reliable. Additionally, the chainsaw she prepared also required diesel as fuel, and large vehicles typically needed diesel as well. Diesel is the hard currency of the apocalypse, even more precious than gasoline. Tang Xiaoman took out a diesel generator from her storage room where she kept diesel and asked Zhou Yichen, "Do you know how to use it?" Zhou Yichen glanced at it and replied, "Yes, test it now to see if there are any issues," Tang Xiaoman instructed. Zhou Yichen swiftly assembled the diesel generator, added fuel, and successfully started it up in no time. The power storage light lit up, displaying the charging progress. The noise was too loud, enough to wake everyone sleeping in the entire club. "Do you have a way to reduce the noise, or at least keep it at a reasonable decibel level so it doesn't disturb normal rest?" Tang Xiaoman asked for advice. Zhou Yichen realized she had genuinely woken him up in the middle of the night to work, not for any other reason. He breathed a slight sigh of relief. At least he wouldn't have to resign for now. "I have a solution. Just install soundproofing equipment." At this point, he paused before adding, "Good soundproofing equipment is a bit expensive." Tang Xiaoman didn't ask about the price and made a quick decision. You're responsible for purchasing 100 sets of noise-canceling equipment. After they arrive, you'll personally install and calibrate them to ensure the noise meets the minimum standards. Also, the first round of assessments is in 5 days, and we need to eliminate the bottom 5. You should start preparing tactical gear for the 10 remaining teammates. She then transferred another 1 million yuan into Zhou Chen's account. Zhou Chen was slightly taken aback and couldn't help but say to her, "The previous 1 million you transferred to me still has over 200,000 left. Later, you sent another million for diesel, gasoline, and gas cylinders, but only spent 150,000, leaving 850,000, and tonight, you've transferred another million." Her money seemed to flow endlessly into his account, as if it cost nothing, leaving him feeling like he couldn't possibly spend it all. Tang Xiaoman was very serious. "There will be many expenses in the future. You don't need to report everything to me. My time is limited, so you'll have to help stock up together." Chapter 17 What to do when the money runs out. The diesel generator made a loud noise, waking the sleeping bodyguards. The bodyguards on shift duty peeked around cautiously, seeing the boss speaking privately with the captain. They tactfully retreated to their posts. Some grumbled as they went downstairs, but upon seeing the two, they quickly fell silent and hurriedly retreated. Everyone's expressions were somewhat ambiguous. Was the boss secretly meeting their captain in the middle of the night? So it turned out she wasn't interested in the most muscular No.01, but rather the most handsome captain. Indeed, this is an era that values looks. Tang Xiaoman touched her nose, showing that she didn't care about the gossip. In the apocalypse, who would care about such things? They couldn't really harm her in the slightest. Zhou Chen put away the diesel generator and asked her formally, "Miss Tang, is there anything else you need?" Seeing his serious demeanor, Tang Xiaoman couldn't resist the mischievous urge to tease him. "It's not convenient to talk here. How about we go to my room?" The man immediately looked as if facing a formidable enemy. A man and a woman alone together in the middle of the night. "That's not appropriate." Tang Xiaoman made a reasonable concession. "How about we go to your room then?" Zhou Chen's face turned red, and he took a step back, his eyes filled with wariness. Tang Xiaoman, she was just teasing him. It's not like she would actually do anything to him. TSK, this guy is too uptight, can't take a joke. She had no choice but to ask for his opinion. "Where do you think would be a suitable place to talk?" The two entered Tang Xiaoman's private storage room, which contained only 1 ton of diesel, so the smell wasn't as overpowering. Tang Xiaoman turned on the light, and the storage room instantly brightened. Zhou Chen was momentarily stunned when he saw the abundance of supplies. Without explanation, Tang Xiaoman rummaged through the piled-up supplies and handed Zhou Chen a nail gun. "Can you modify this gun to increase its range and power?" Zhou Chen is a retired Special Forces soldier. He is very familiar with the structure of firearms and should be able to disassemble and assemble them proficiently. After examining the nail gun in his hand several times, his tone became somewhat serious. "This is the nail gun with the longest range, 10 meters. The steel nails can cause serious harm to the human body. This is already a very dangerous weapon, but Tang Xiaoman had higher demands. 10 meters isn't far enough. After the modifications, it should ideally reach 20 meters. Zhou Chen looked up at her. Tang Xiaoman stared back at him and repeated, "Do you understand what I mean?" After a moment, Zhou Chen replied, "Understood, Miss Tang." Tang Xiaoman nodded in satisfaction and patted him on the shoulder. "Don't worry, I won't use it for evil, just for self-defense. I don't provoke others unless they provoke me. If others provoke me, I'll eliminate them root and branch." Tang Xiaoman fell asleep in the early hours of the morning and woke up to find it was already past 9. She let out a wail as if her flesh were being cut, immediately rolling off the bed and rushing into the bathroom. 10 minutes later, she emerged feeling refreshed. Without even stopping for breakfast, she hurried downstairs in a frenzy and drove straight to the nearest bank. The gold and silver bars and bricks in the bank were much more affordable than those in jewelry stores. Tang Xiaoman bought 10 caddies of gold bricks and 10 caddies of silver bricks in one go. She wanted to test how much the space would expand in area and volume after absorbing these gold and silver. If 10 caddies of gold bricks and 10 caddies of silver bricks could purchase the same amount of space, then buying silver bricks would obviously be more cost-effective. Tang Xiaoman returned to the car and first stored the gold bricks in the space. She used her consciousness to check the space. And sure enough, the gold bricks had been swallowed, the living area expanded by 0.5 square meters, and the space volume increased by 5 cubic meters. She quickly threw another 10 caddies of silver bricks into the space. After the silver bricks were swallowed, the virtual screen showed that the living area expanded by 0.005 square meters, and the space volume increased by 0.05 cubic meters. This result was within Tang Xiaoman's expectations. It seems the space is truly discerning, cheap goods can't fool it, asterisk. Tang Xiaoman went to jewelry stores and jade shops again, purchasing various gemstones, diamonds, jade pieces, and ornaments. She tossed items of equal value into the space, then checked the expanded living area and space volume, finally concluding, jadeite offers the best value for money. Tang Xiaoman checked her account balance. There was less than 60 million left. Paying the final installment for the renovation and purchasing an escape pod would cost around 10 million, and she still needed to continue stockpiling supplies. The money she had once worried about not being able to spend was suddenly not enough. She set aside 10 million in cash and used the rest to buy gold bars and jadeite. After feeding all these items into the space, the jade bracelet's quality improved further. What had started as a low-grade bean-grade jade transformed into a glossy glutinous-grade jade. With even greater transparency, she entered the space and found the virtual screen displaying a countdown of 3 hours. This meant that her daily time limit in the space had now been extended to 3 hours. The living area expanded by 13 square meters, now totaling 97 square meters, transforming from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom layout. The space volume also increased by 110 cubic meters, reaching a total of 290 cubic meters. Seeing the space more than double in size, Tang Xiaoman instantly felt as energized as if she had been injected with adrenaline. After exiting the space, she planned to continue driving to stock up on supplies, but shortly after setting off, the car's tire went flat. She got out to check, only for a group of burly men to suddenly appear from nowhere. Each of them had bare arms covered in dragon and phoenix tattoos, looking like tough characters not to be trifled with. Tang Xiaoman showed no fear, raising her eyebrows as she asked, "What do you want?" Under the clear sky and broad daylight, the apocalypse had yet to begin. She didn't even dare to act recklessly, yet these people had the audacity to commit violence in broad daylight. "Heh, little lady, you shouldn't have messed with the wrong person. Someone wants to teach you a lesson." The leader, a man with a vicious scar across his face, grinned menacingly. The men following behind him were all wielding baseball bats, just waiting for their leader's command to attack together. Although the girl before them was very beautiful, making them swallow hard with desire, but who told her to offend someone she shouldn't have? For money, they had no choice but to follow orders, to break her limbs and teach her a painful lesson. Tang Xiaoman sneered coldly and said slowly, "Wait a moment." The crowd, she opened the car door and, using the motion of leaning forward as cover, pulled out a chainsaw from her space. The chainsaw roared to life, emitting a terrifying sound. This is universally recognized as the ultimate thug pacifier. A dozen grown men turned pale with fear, none daring to charge forward. Tang Xiaoman switched from defense to offense, thrusting the high-speed chainsaw directly toward Scarface. Scarface didn't dare to fight back and immediately turned to flee. With their leader gone, the remaining men became a disorganized mob, scattering in an instant like birds and beasts. "TCH, can't you come up with something new? So lame." Tang Xiaoman gave a thumbs down to the fleeing guys in disdain. She put away the chainsaw, took out a jack from the trunk, and changed the spare tire herself. After 4 years of surviving the apocalypse, there was nothing she couldn't handle on her own. Just as she got into the car, Tang Xiaoman received a call from the owner of an outdoor water sports equipment store. The 4 reserved escape pods and 10 oxygen packs have arrived. Tang Xiaoman directly gave the boss the address of the rented garage and asked him to send someone to deliver them. Asterisk. The 2 Team Edition 15-seat escape pods filled the garage to the brim, leaving the remaining 2 Family Edition escape pods and 10 oxygen packs to be placed outside the garage. Tang Xiaoman settled the final payment with the boss and asked if he could help her get 50 more gas masks and 20 sets of hazmat suits. The boss agreed immediately. I can ask a friend for help and get them to you soon. The quality is absolutely guaranteed, though the price might be slightly higher. Money is not an issue, Tang Xiaoman said without hesitation, paying the deposit up front. The boss left cheerfully. Tang Xiaoman entered the garage and swiftly stored the 2 team version escape pods into her space. She reorganized the supplies in the living quarters, stacking everything that could be stacked together, utilizing the space all the way up to the ceiling. The area of the bathroom and toilet was also expanded, with scattered supplies piled inside. She cleared out the living room, specifically to store the 2 largest team version escape pods. After leaving the space, she stored the 2 family-sized escape pods and 10 oxygen packs in the garage, then moved them into the space, stacking them in the living room of the residence. With the most crucial survival supplies secured, she felt a bit more at ease. Tang Xiaoman excitedly checked the additional 130 cubic meters of space. Feeling the weight of the long road ahead, she wanted to continue her frenzied stockpiling. But what if she ran out of money?